Running all the way. Your Majesty is currently in Wenling Hall. He just attended the morning court at Wying Hall. Originally, he should have returned to the harem, and he even had a new plan to experiment with the physical abilities of the young at the dragon consort's place. But who would have thought that just after dismissing the court, he would encounter a vexing matter? 3 Buddhist masters requested an audience. Moreover, he could not refuse to see these 3. Because they are the abbots of the 3 10,000 years ancient temples of the Dahuang country, Master Xuanfeng, Master Jide, and Master Miaowu. The Buddhist path, under normal circumstances, does not fight or contend. No matter how high the rank of a master when they arrive among the common people, whether they are respected still depends on whether people believe in their teaching. However, the most intriguing aspect of the Buddhist path is its high ceiling. Masters of such status wield great influence in the Buddhist path, speaking with authority, and have billions of followers throughout the great wilderness. Others might ignore them, but the emperor genuinely cannot. Otherwise, a single word from them could create boundless troubles among the people. Therefore, with these 3 masters seeking an audience outside the palace gate, the emperor could only agree to meet them. Naturally, he made full preparations, choosing the most well-defended Wenling Hall, with Huo Gang by his side and the hidden dragon guard leader behind him. Even if these 3 masters are high practitioners of the state of holding, he can ensure that no one takes advantage. These precautions were made by this emperor to prevent any unexpected challenges from men of the wilderness. However, facing the intentions of these 3 masters, the emperor still felt inadequately prepared. Your Majesty, Master Xuanfeng was the first to speak. The 3 of us have come today regarding the primordial spirit of our fellow Buddhist Xuankong. Brother Xuankong has cultivated arduously for 3,000 years. How rare is an accomplishment! How tragic is the demise of his physical form! How could your Majesty detain his primordial spirit? Amitabha, Master Xuanfeng speaks very true, Master Miaowu added. Within the cultivation path, to detain one's primordial spirit is a sinister method. Your Majesty is not a practitioner. Using imperial authority to detain the primordial spirit of a senior monk, should this spread, would it not cause all the followers of the Buddhist path to lament that the great wilderness dynasty defies the heavenly Tao, lacking respect? 1 step forward. 7th Prince Hong Yun. The 2 masters are gravely mistaken. The wicked monk Xuankong recklessly tampered with cause and effect, facing punishment by the heavenly Tao itself. His primordial spirit cannot be released lightly. Others did not know the inside story of Xuankong's enmity with the imperial family, but he did. Master Jide solemnly recited the Buddha name. Your Highness says Brother Xuankong recklessly tampered with cause and effect. Yet, do you know what kind of cause and effect it was? Who was involved? Could it be publicized to gain people's trust? Hong Yun's heart blazed with fury, yet he could not speak. That was the greatest difficulty of this matter. As a prince, as one with knowledge, he was enraged about the Tunyan prayer 10 years ago, furious at the wicked monk Xuankong, but this matter was too taboo to be revealed publicly. Just one hint of rumor, and the Father Emperor would be in turmoil. One must never underestimate the public's ability to deduce. Once people know about the cause and effect mistake, they will immediately realize that the crown prince who just died in prison was killed by your Majesty. A tiger, despite its ferocity, does not eat its cubs. The Father Emperor is worse than a beast. Concerning the Father Emperor killing the elder brother, he himself truly could not pass this hurdle within. At this point his heart was boiling. Minister of the Ministry of Justice, Song Lifu, stepped forward. May I ask the 3 masters, is the matter of Xuankong slaying the 3 corpses true? Amitabha, it is true, Master Xuanfeng replied. Song Lifu continued. In the cultivation path, slaying the 3 corpses refers to discarding one's forsaken body, correct? Indeed. Xuankong has slain the Buddha corpse, Song Lifu continued. By severing the Buddha corpse, he has placed himself in opposition to the Buddha. The 3 esteemed masters of the Buddhist path do not grieve over this betrayal, but run thousands of miles in support of this villainous residual demon primordial spirit. Is this not against the principles of the Buddhist path, a betrayal to millions of followers? This statement directly evaded the most challenging topic of cause and effect mistake, cleverly shifting the topic to focus on Buddha nature. Chapter 668, Chapter 649, on the Golden Hall striking straight at Xuankong. Xuankong has slain the 3 corpses, and everyone witnessed it personally. It cannot be hidden. The three great powers of the Buddhist sect must acknowledge this. Once you acknowledge it, the basic theory of the slaying of the three corpses is set up. Xu Kong was indeed a monk before, however. Ever since he slew the three corpses, he has strayed from the Buddhist sect. What does someone who strays from the Buddhist sect count as? A Buddhist renegade. Demon path. You three great powers of the Buddhist sect have come from far away to uphold justice for the demon path. Don't you find it ridiculous? Your Majesty's eyes slightly brighten. This is a good breakthrough. Indeed, the older Ginger becomes, the hotter it gets. The seventh prince also breathed a sigh of relief. Master Jade said, Amitabha, the Buddhist sect is vast and capable of saving all beings. How can one sentence of yours determine who is Buddha and who is demon? Even past demons can become today's Buddha. Even today's demons can become future Buddhas. You hold a high position yet are so obstinate. It's no wonder the Dawang dynasty has such a rebellious act. Upon hearing these words, Song Lifu felt troubled. He is not a member of the Buddhist sect, but he has heard the phrase, the Buddhist sect is vast, saving all beings too many times. He is the minister of the Ministry of Justice. Every day there are heinous cases in various provinces, and the Buddhist sect interferes daily. Their rhetoric always includes the vastness of Buddhism, the saving of all beings, laying down the butcher's knife, and instantly becoming Buddha. Others find these words glorious and grand, but he, being in charge of criminal law, finds them annoying. Arguing with these stubborn old monks is tough. They have nothing better to do all day, playing this tune. Master Myowu also intoned with an Amitabha. Your Majesty should know, water can carry a boat, but it can also capsize it. If your Majesty is benevolent, then heaven and earth will be benevolent. If your Majesty is ruthless, then chaos will reign. This time, your Majesty has detained the primordial spirit of high monks, already angering both heaven and man, and has further imprisoned over 200 innocent monks from Tunyan Temple in the heavenly prison. Is this what a benevolent ruler would do? I advise your Majesty to pull back from the cliff. Do not act willfully. Your Majesty's heart burned like wildfire, coldly glaring at Master Myowu. Master Myowu held her hands to her chest, her eyes filled with Buddhist light. If anyone else dared to speak to him like this, they would be executed and their family punished in no time. But Master Myowu is not an ordinary person. She is the abbess of Luohua Temple. Luohua Temple is no ordinary nunnery. Suddenly, the palace door was gently pushed open, and the chief eunuch reported, Your Majesty, 5th rank inspection envoy Li Chengyan requests an audience outside the palace. Your Majesty's heart jumped fiercely. Li Chengyan. This matter arose because of him once it's dissected. At Tunyan Temple's morning hall, he had a fierce argument with the monks without diminishing imperial prestige. Can he handle today's situation? Announce. The word announce traveled through the long corridor, passed on by relays and reached outside the palace gate. Lin Ziasu smiled lightly. Qing Ying, wait here. I'm going to get promoted. This voice was secret transmission. Qing Ying's face showed a tumultuous expression. Inside, her heart was turbulent. If she ignored her position, she really wanted to retort to him. You are too arrogant. If you can get promoted today, that would be seeing a ghost. Lin Ziasu strode in, entering Wenling Hall. Your subject Li Chengyan pays respects to your Majesty. Your Majesty nodded slowly. Li Aking, you came just in time. These masters are here regarding the matter of Xu Kong of which you are most clear. Speak to the masters about it. Your subject follows the decree. Lin Ziasu turned to the three masters. What do the three masters seek? 7 words lightly spoken, clearly lacking respect towards the masters. Fortunately, the three masters were all eminent monks and did not stoop to his level. They reiterated the matter, essentially stating the Buddhist sect's compassion would not abandon fellow Buddhists, and the imperial family should be compassionate, not annihilate completely. Master Xu Kong's body is destroyed. His primordial spirit should be returned, and so on. Lin Ziasu listened quietly without expressing an opinion. When Master Chuanfeng finished speaking, 3 pairs of compassionate eyes gathered on Lin Ziasu's face. To them it was the first encounter, but to him it was not unknown. Everyone knew that the young official before them was the one who led Tunyan Temple to disaster. But the 3 were eminent monks and could not speak harshly to him. Your Majesty, Lin Ziasu turned towards Your Majesty. The 3 masters show compassion today, and Your Majesty is also a benevolent emperor facing a dilemma. Your subject requests an order. How about leaving Master Kong's primordial spirit to me for disposal? Everyone was taken aback simultaneously, especially Gang. What is going on with Li Chengyan? He was the one overseeing this matter and was extremely firm regarding the Heart Pavilion issue. Why is he talking about compassion today? Although Master Kong's villainous monk's body is destroyed and his primordial spirit can't cause much turmoil, he is certainly a senior figure in the Heart Pavilion, holding great secrets of the Heart Pavilion. To hand it over just like that would be a pity, not to mention that the royal family's already captured prisoner's primordial spirit is being directly compromised because of the three eminent monks' visit, which is also a major blow to the royal family's face. The seventh prince's face was solemn as water. Song Lifu showed the same expression. In the hall there was only one person whose tension slowly eased, being Right Grandmaster Li Heping, the epitome of seniority and steadiness. The more severely the high monk spoke, the greater his internal pressure. Now, with someone immensely trusted by your majesty present and showing a conciliatory stance, his pressure greatly reduced. The hearts of the three eminent monks in the hall were also slightly relieved, showing even more kindness. Your majesty took a deep breath. The matter of Kong originated with Li Aking. If Li Aking wishes to handle the aftermath, it is permissible. Gang. Present. Hand over Kong's primordial spirit to Li Aking for disposal. Yes. Gang raised his hand and took out a golden cage from his waist. In the golden cage, a fragmented silhouette. This cage, the God-locking cage. Chapter 669. Chapter 649. Upon the Golden Hall, directly slaying Kong 2. This virtual shadow, Kong primordial spirit. At the moment Gang handed over the primordial spirit, there was a flicker of regret. Should have directly wiped out that bald thief right then. If he had done so, the Buddhist sect would have lost hope, and today's forced confrontation wouldn't have happened. But now it's too late for everything. As the commander of the Forbidden Army in such occasions, he could only respond, yes. Uttering more would be out of line. His Majesty's heart was in turmoil too. Within himself, he was 120 times wanting to kill this Kong. However, he also knew, this killing, while satisfying, would come at extremely grave consequences. It would trigger a direct clash between the dynasty and the Buddhist sect. As an emperor, how could he act impulsively and pay such a tremendous price? Therefore, as Lin Zaiasu said, His Majesty was in a dilemma. In a dilemma, there's a clever way to relieve the pressure, which is to pass the ball out. His Majesty would not personally handle it but let someone else do the work. No matter how it is handled by this other person, the impact can be minimized. This is the reason why Lin Zaiasu requested authority to handle it, and His Majesty directly agreed. Lin Zaiasu took over the primordial spirit. The three high monks on the scene showed smiles, waiting for Lin Zaiasu to hand over the primordial spirit. Lin Zaiasu slowly raised his hand, staring at the primordial spirit inside the God-locking cage, already battered and severely injured. Yet at this moment, it was also conscious. The pair of illusory eyes seemed to be looking at Lin Zaiasu. Lin Zaiasu seemed to feel the disdain from the Tao realm expert inside the cage. Lin Zaiasu smiled faintly. The interior of the golden cage suddenly changed. A space rift abruptly opened. Thud. A soft sound within the God-locking cage. Kong's primordial spirit was swept into the space rift, torn into pieces. If Kong was in his full glory, this rift couldn't consume him. If he wasn't in the God-locking cage, even gravely injured, the rift could hardly consume him. Sadly, he's inside the God-locking cage, all divine skills blocked, already severely damaged by Gang, barely hanging on. Combined, Lin Zaiasu suddenly executed this style of sky split, devouring the primordial spirit. The spatial turbulence within the sky split instantly tore apart this primordial spirit. In front of everyone's eyes, Kong's primordial spirit, debated all morning, turned into ashes. The three monks' eyes widened simultaneously. His Majesty's eyes also widened instantly. Song Lifu was shaken. Right Grandmaster Li Heping could hardly believe his eyes. Seventh Prince Hong Yun suddenly broke into a cold sweat. How dare you? Only Gang's eyes suddenly sparkled like stars. Your Majesty, Lin Zaiasu bowed. Minor Minister knows His Majesty has always been merciful, even when the villain has committed atrocious crimes. It is hard to execute him, hence, Minor Minister dared to act privately, executing without permission. For defying your majesty's wishes, please punish me severely." Upon these words, the hall fell into silence like night. No one expected this young man to act so decisively. No one expected him to be so audacious. Right in front of his majesty, in front of 3 high monks of the Tao mastery realm. Holding the focal point of contention in his hand, he directly executed it. This execution was extremely sudden. This execution was executed with incredible skill. The 3 monks, just realizing something was wrong, had already lost the chance to intervene. Now realizing it for sure, the matter was settled. Liaking, His Majesty rose, pointing at Lin Zaiasu. "How dare you act so recklessly?" His finger trembled slightly, showing great anger. Lin Zaiasu kneeled with a thump. "Your Majesty, minor minister is young and inexperienced, prone to impulsive actions. Thinking of the tragic state this rogue conspired with Heart Pavilion, harming the people of the great wilderness, I couldn't control my emotions. Your Majesty, please punish me." His Majesty sighed long. "Imperial decree. Here, Inspection Envoy Li Chengyan, for the impulsive mistake, deduct 1 year's salary." "As you decree." Everyone in the hall looked stern, appearing extremely serious, but what they felt inside was unknown. "Your Majesty, aren't you overacting a bit? Deducting 1 year's salary. You can't even bear to deduct more. Why not deduct for 10 years? The 3 monks all closed their eyes. Finally, the gaze of Master Jade in the middle slowly opened. "Mr. Li, for such reckless disregard for human life, are you not afraid of falling into the 18th level of hell?" Amitabha, facing him, Lin Zaiasu responded, "The Buddhist sect says if I don't go to hell, who will?" This is Lin Zaiasu's first response to the 3 high monks, with standard Buddhist phrasing. For the first time, the 3 monks were infuriated by their own familiar phrasing. You accuse him of reckless disregard for human life. He readily admits it and goes deeper. He is willing to descend into hell. What can you do? It's a ploy. Amitabha, Master Chuanfeng clasped his hands. "Mr. Li, are you not afraid that today's actions will cut off your own path?" "Thank you, Master, for your concern. My path will not be cut off." "Not cut off?" Master Chuanfeng's eyes narrowed slightly. Lin Zaiasu said, "I naturally know the path of those young and reckless is difficult, but so what? When I truly have no path to follow, I'll casually find a temple, find a razor, and enter the empty gate. This would be laying down the butcher's knife and becoming a Buddha on the spot. Master Chuanfeng, by then you should welcome a wicked person like me into the Buddhist sect, right?" Master Chuanfeng's breath stopped. The 7th prince smiled halfway, then quickly stopped upon seeing his father's expression. Master Maioyu's gaze slowly returned from the heavens. "Your Majesty, Tunyan Temple still has over 200 monks. Do you also wish to hand them over to Mr. Li for disposal?" Chapter 670, Chapter 649, Upon the Golden Hall, directly slaying Chuan Kong III. The topic shifted, simply because Chuan Kong was no more. Arguing further, besides intensifying the conflict on the spot, was meaningless. What she wanted was the monks of Tunyan Temple. Your Majesty had actually been calculating this early on. 3 eminent monks traveled thousands of miles. They did not come with good intentions and could not go back empty-handed. Since the most troublesome Chuan Kong was already resolved, the remaining monks seemed to be an opportunity to earn some goodwill. However, among these people, there was a large number of high-level experts from the Heart Pavilion or even the mental path. If released and they leave the great wilderness, it would be fine, but if not, remaining in Tunyan Temple, so close to Beijing, would be a lingering threat. Therefore, whether to release these people became a new issue once again. Lin Zaiasu stepped forward. "Your Majesty, I believe the chief villain has been executed and the subordinates could be released." As soon as these words came out, the 3 high monks who had been in a high state of alert relaxed once more. Taking a step back and compromising might be the only option available now. However, Lin Zaiasu's next words were, "However, those who violate the prohibition with force, according to national law, need their cultivation abolished." "Impossible." Master Maioyu's expression changed drastically. Lin Zaiasu said coldly, "Master, do not forget that the Buddhist path is a place for comprehending Buddhist law. Whether one possesses cultivation or not makes no difference in Buddhist comprehension. What do you intend by leaving their cultivation intact? To continue serving as the lackeys of the Heart Pavilion, conveniently seizing and exploiting all beings?" Master Maioyu was temporarily speechless. The Buddhist path has always told the world only one truth. It is for comprehending Buddhist law. The level of the Tao realm has nothing to do with physical strength or cultivation. The Buddhist path speaks of reasoning, not fighting, so whether this mortal body has cultivation or not is completely meaningless. From this perspective, it's difficult to argue against Lin Zaiasu's demand to abolish the cultivation of the Buddhist disciples on Buddhist principles. Boom! Huo Gang soared into the sky in one leap. The next step landed on a prison, stamping his foot down. With that stamp, golden snakes danced wildly. Countless golden snakes drilled into the cells, destroying the dantian of the 200 monks imprisoned inside. The power of that stamp was terrifying beyond compare. The power of that stamp even made the 3 high monks of Holding the Way tremble with fear. Huo Gang returned in midair. Your Majesty, the errant monks have been entirely deprived of their cultivation, making it impossible for them to assist in any further violations. I believe they can be released. Your Majesty let out a long sigh of relief. That is excellent. The 3 high monks traveled thousands of miles only to rescue the monks of one temple. I appreciate the great virtue of the 3 high monks and shall extend leniency outside the law. The monks of Tunyan Temple are hereby released. By imperial command, responded the people outside the hall. Your Majesty's gaze shifted to the 3 high monks. Masters, is this agreeable? The 3 of them exchanged glances and together recited the Buddhist phrase, Amitabha. As the Buddhist chant fell, the 3 monks broke through space. As the 3 monks flew away, Your Majesty smiled to send them off. When the figures of the 3 monks completely disappeared, Your Majesty's expression gradually became grave, and his gaze shifted to the people in the hall. Beloved ministers, how do you see today's matters? The 7th prince stepped forward. Father, I believe, the sect imposes martial law violations is above the law and this trend must be stopped. Zonglifu said, what His Highness said is very true. As an elder in the Ministry of Justice, I feel this most deeply. Every prefecture and state has daily incidents of cultivators violating martial law, and such malicious incidents have been increasing incessantly. The billion people of the great wilderness live in constant fear each day. If the court does not take strong measures, I fear the dynasty's prestige will be completely lost. Your Majesty's gaze slowly moved to the right. On the right was Li Heping, the right Grandmaster. Li Aking, what is your opinion? Li Heping stepped forward. Your Majesty, I believe, the sect and the dynasty's law contradict, and this is true across nations. Our court might as well adopt Chu country's approach by sending great scholars into each major sect to promote the rights and clarify the laws, to enlighten these outsiders. Once the world is assimilated, and all hearts return to us, our court's reputation will be renowned in this aspect of the heavenly Tao, and all across the universe will revere us. Zonglifu said, Master Li's theory of enlightenment has already been in practice for many years. What has it achieved? The increasing backlog of cases in the Ministry of Justice and today's intrusion into the palace, acting recklessly. Besides giving the sects carte blanche, what other benefits has this enlightenment brought? Li Heping's face darkened. Master Song's usual stance is to call for execution for any crime against the law. And what has that resulted in? The wiping out of all officials in Qingyun Prefecture, creating the largest officialdom tragedy since the founding of the dynasty. Wasn't that the result of your bullheadedness back then? Zonglifu's face darkened to a dripping shade. The Qingyun tragedy. Merely mentioning this tragedy made it hard to suppress the anger in his heart. Was I wrong about the Qingyun tragedy? The disciples of Bishui sect committed murder in the marketplace, kidnapped women. Constables arrested them only to be killed in return, leading to the mobilization of state soldiers to besiege the mountain. Initially, the other side was already somewhat afraid and planned to hand over the culprits, but a court minister intervened, and the regent crown prince ordered the withdrawal of troops. Once withdrawn, the other side became incomparably arrogant. The situation escalated, ultimately leading to Bishui sect annihilating the Qingyun officialdom. Is this the fault of a hardliner like me, or of you compromisers? Your Majesty was aware of these matters, and when hearing about the Qingyun tragedy or seeing the bulging vein on Zonglifu's forehead, he knew what was coming next, a court debate that had long since worn him out, so he quickly raised his hand. Li Aking, what is your opinion? Lin Zaiasu bowed to Your Majesty. Your Majesty, I came to the palace today specifically for this matter. Oh, came for this matter. Your Majesty was slightly surprised, thinking in a moment. Today, he had requested an audience. He had not been summoned. Requested an audience, and it turned out to be for this matter. Chapter 671, Chapter 649, On the Golden Hall, Striking Straight at Chuan Kong 4. Your Majesty, I was appointed as inspection envoy by Your Majesty's grace, with the primary duty of inspecting all sects under heaven. Therefore, I've been paying attention to various major sects recently and found that they are acting against the law with force, exploiting the populace and bringing calamity to the court and people, reaching a point that threatens imperial authority and law, Lin Ziasu said. Thus, I have come to the palace to ask if Your Majesty is aware of this situation. Your Majesty's expression softened momentarily, then turned grim. This issue has existed for countless generations. How could I not know? I just don't know how to solve it. The seventh prince said, who in the world doesn't know about this matter? However, the issue of regulating sex is significant, and the court debates incessantly every day. Lin Ziasu frowned. In the Dahuang, regardless of identity or status, anyone who breaks the law is dealt with according to the Dahuang criminal law. Is there any room for debate on this matter? The seventh prince did not answer, but turned his gaze towards the Right Grandmaster. Right Grandmaster Li Heping spoke. Mr. Li, being new to officialdom, does not yet see the full picture. Therefore, he is not deeply aware of the complexity of the sects. In the Dahuang, there are 806 sects, and if we act rashly and offend the sects, it might lead to turmoil, unsettling the common people, or even incite upheaval throughout the land. How could this be a matter of youthful rashness? Thank you, Master Li, for the clarification. Lin Ziasu bowed deeply. However, there is another matter I do not understand, and I hope Master Li can enlighten me. Please speak, Mr. Li. Lin Ziasu said, when the first emperor founded the dynasty, there were over 3,000 sects in the Dahuang, making the situation more complex than now by 10,000 times. Why did such a situation not occur at that time? The seventh prince's heart was greatly shaken. This matter, can it be mentioned? Everyone present was well aware that, when the first emperor founded the dynasty, sects were much more chaotic than they are now. But why couldn't they cause major waves? Why in the beginning of the dynasty did all the sects submit obediently? Only because of one thing. The first emperor brought out a force of iron-blood dragon riders from the great wilderness. 1,000,000 iron-blood dragon riders, with iron-blooded executions, fearless and merciless, destroying anyone who even slightly opposed the dynasty. This killing lasted a full 70 years. 2,006 out of 3,000 were wiped out. The killing almost severed the cultivation path in the great wilderness. The remaining sects came to the imperial palace trembling, knelt, submitted, and signed the national documents, opening the multi-millennial imperial authority of the great wilderness dynasty. Today is not the early years of the first emperor. Today, there aren't millions of dragon riders. The dynasty no longer has the weapon to suppress sects, thus it can only reason with them, leading to the current passive situation. This is a layer of shame. It's also something that tarnishes the emperor's face. Any emperor wishes others to praise his surpassing past achievements, never willing to admit today's downfall. Isn't this question a slap in the father's face? Li Heping said, Mr. Li may not know that in the early years of the first emperor, 1,000,000 dragon riders could control the world. But now, the 4 realms of the great wilderness face enemies, and the frontier wars are far more complex than in the past, leaving insufficient military strength to use troops to suppress internal sects. Lin Ziasu turned and faced Your Majesty. Your Majesty, I dare to request a decree. Your Majesty's gaze lowered. Li Aching, what decree do you wish to request? Lin Ziasu said, I wish to inspect the 81 sects of Jiangnan, clear the Ministry of Justice's accumulated cases, to comfort the people's hearts and to rectify the court's conduct. Everyone in the hall was shocked. Hu Gang's eyes shone brightly. How enormous is the task of clearing accumulated cases in the Ministry of Justice? How grand is the courage to rectify the court's conduct? These are merely appearances. The real core is that he aims to take action against the 81 sects of Jiangnan. Because clearing accumulated cases will inevitably trigger direct conflict with the sects. This is his attitude. In terms of attitude, he is perfectly aligned with Song Lifu and the seventh prince. But his attitude is not just about debates in the court. He is taking actual action. This young man, why do I find myself liking him more the longer I am around him? Your Majesty took a deep breath, clearing accumulated cases in the Ministry of Justice. This benefits both the court and the people. However, have you, Aching, understood the dangers of this endeavor? I am naturally aware of the dangers, but being in the dynasty and receiving your majesty's great favor, how could I not repay it? Lin Zaiasu said. I am greatly comforted by your loyalty, Aking. Please tell me, what kind of assistance do you need? A town-level battalion from the Zhen Heaven Pavilion will suffice. Town level, your majesty's brows furrowed slightly. Zhen Heaven Pavilion, a special force of the dynasty, encompassing all sorts of skills with cultivators, experts in various Kaiman skills, and even scholars akin to the special forces of this era. It may seem all-powerful, but in reality, its strength is not particularly formidable. Especially, this young man only asked for a town-level battalion from the Zhen Heaven Pavilion. Town level, merely a 3,000-man formation. With just 3,000 men, you dare to go to Jiangnan and confront the 81 sects. Chapter 672, Chapter 650, promoted by 2 levels, no joke. These 3,000 men are not 3,000 masters. Most are merely at the observing heaven level. The leader barely qualifies as a master, only at the enlightenment body realm. Even if Zhen Heaven Pavilion provides you with the highest level of special assistance, it would only include 3 to 5 with enlightenment rules. Such strength is insufficient to contend with a medium-sized sect, let alone the 81 sects. Among these 81 sects, there are some large sects with individuals in the realm of mastery, who alone could suffocate your 3,000 troops. In your majesty's mind, it was assumed this youngster planned to borrow Huo Gang once more. If bolder, he might even borrow a squad of hidden dragon guard. However, neither was true. He only asked for a town-level squad from Zhen Heaven Pavilion. Merely a town-level squad. Your Majesty pondered, dear Minister, you won't be able to suppress the 81 sects. Your Majesty, in my opinion, those from the sects who dare to defy imperial laws are few. Most of the time, I will act as an inspection envoy, conducting inspections rather than expecting a direct battlefield confrontation. Your Majesty nodded lightly. Have you made up your mind, my dear Minister? Yes. Your Majesty sighed a long breath. If all officials were like you, how fortunate would the realm be? Thank you, Your Majesty. Zonglifu and the 7th Prince exchanged a glance and saw excitement in each other's eyes. But Right Grandmaster Li Heping had dark lines flowing across his face. Your Majesty's statement seemed to be a new indicator for the court's wind direction. From this moment, the approach toward the sects would become increasingly tough, and the ministers would also have to align with this. Otherwise, ministers of the peace faction might become the negative examples in your Majesty's eyes. Li Chengyan's tough stance towards the sects was praised by your Majesty, saying that if all officials were like him, how fortunate the realm would be. If not like him, wouldn't it be unlucky for the court to have them? This wind direction is too terrifying. The changes are too rapid. Imperial decree. Present. Transmit my edict. Your Majesty slowly stood up. The 5th rank inspection envoy Li Chengyan, loyal to the court, commendably courageous and righteous, is promoted to 4th rank chief inspector. Thank you, Your Majesty. Lin Zaiasu knelt to receive his new official uniform and new official seal. 10 minutes later, Lin Zaiasu changed out of the 5th rank court uniform he had worn for only 3 days without the chance to wash, into the brand new 4th rank court uniform, like a satisfied patron, descended from the steps of the Golden Hall, arriving outside the palace gates. The drizzle was continuous as Qing Ying eyed this young official with her beautiful willow leaf eyes, as if seeing a ghost. The carriage clattered, turning from Jinlong Road to Vermilion Bird Road, arriving in front of Li Mansion. The family head has returned. The gate boy shouted loudly, but his voice abruptly stopped as his breath hitched, for he too saw a ghost. Following was the butler. The butler gave a surprised cry upon seeing Lin Zaiasu's official uniform. Family head, have you become a 4th rank official? Indeed, thanks to your Majesty's graciousness, I have been promoted 2 ranks. Lin Zaiasu said, Butler, reward everyone in the mansion with 2 pieces of desert silver to celebrate together. Boom! The entire Li mansion erupted in joy. In the red pavilion, the fine rain was like gauze. Lin Zaiasu stopped in front of the pavilion, sighed lightly. The taste of the world has recently grown thin like gauze, and now the horse-riding guest visits the capital. I'll give this pavilion a name. He gently lifted his finger, and a streak of sword chi shot forth. Swoosh! The sword light turned, and on the plaque of the red pavilion there appeared 3 ancient text characters. Gauze Pavilion. Qing Ying stared dazedly at all this, her eyes filled with infatuation. Reciting poetry effortlessly was a habit of this superior. Qing Ying had seen it many times, never moved. Li Chengyan believed Qing Ying was just an ordinary secretary, completely unaware of her background. Qing Ying was born into a bureaucratic family, a house steeped in literary excellence. Her father was a great scholar, with the position of prime minister, with such deep academic heritage. From a young age, Qing Ying excelled in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. She was not someone who did not understand appreciation. She knew her superior liked to play with literature and had considerable poetic talent, but it was never to the extent that everyone would chase after. But now her perception completely changed. Since entering the officialdom, this superior had only recited poetry twice. The first time was this morning. It's pleasant to idle with books on the pillow. The view is splendid when the rain comes before the door. She pondered it all morning. The more she pondered, the more she felt its endless charm. Just after leaving the palace, another couplet. The taste of the world has recently grown thin like gauze, and now the horse-riding guest visits the capital. Those lines, are they good? They struck her heart directly. With her father passed away, the family's downfall, the taste of worldly affairs as thin as gauze, who in the world could understand more profoundly than she? And now the horse-riding guest visits the capital. The prosperity of Desert City may be splendid, but isn't she, after all, a guest here? And him? Why does he have such sentiments? He is a new favorite on the officialdom, favored so much by your majesty. Shouldn't he be spirited and vigorous at this moment? Why can he recite such lines filled with boundless melancholy? Oh, right. Hearing him recite poetry, watching him display such marvelous sword chi, almost made her thoughts wander. Now back on track with the realization of his status as a new favorite, her thoughts returned to focus. Master, you truly got promoted, 2 levels at once. I told you before I left, didn't you not believe me? Lin Ziasu smiled. Who would believe that? Even now it feels like a dream, Qing Ying said. Master, why? Why exactly is that? Before unveiling the reason, allow me to boast a little. This is called ensuring control in advance, being cautious step by step. Lin Ziasu said, Today, I entered the palace to request an order from His Majesty to subdue the Dawang sect for the dynasty. Subdue the Dawang sect. Qing Ying's face changed drastically. Lin Ziasu smiled faintly. The power of the Dawang sect has already severely influenced the imperial authority and laws. His Majesty is greatly troubled by this, so I was very sure that as long as I submitted this request, His Majesty would immediately, not hesitate even for a breath, and would agree right away. Chapter 673, Chapter 650, Promotion by 2 levels is no joke, Part 2. Qing Ying gently exhaled a breath. That is certain. Not only His Majesty but all emperors of the dynasty, as long as someone is willing to step up to resolve the matters between the imperial authority and the sect forces, the emperor would be overjoyed. How could he refuse, sir? How can you be sure His Majesty would promote your rank? And exactly by 2 levels, no more, no less. This was something as cold as she could not understand. The emperor's promotion of ministers often depends on mood, so the promotion carries a great deal of randomness. No one can accurately predict the timing or extent of such promotions. Yet he managed it precisely. Lin Ziasu smiled. Do you know what level of treatment the sect leaders receive when entertained by the dynasty? Qing Ying frowned slightly. Sect leaders receiving rank treatment? No, right. They are not officials of the dynasty. What treatment could they enjoy? Just an unwritten rule that when a major sect leader emerges, they can sit directly opposite a magistrate to discuss significant matters. Indeed, that's the treatment, Lin Ziasu replied. A major sect leader sitting alongside a magistrate is an unwritten rule. The magistrate is a 4th rank official, and thus His Majesty promoted me to the 4th rank. Qing Ying's eyes brightened. Is His Majesty hoping that you can sit on equal footing with a sect leader without being troubled by status? You finally understand. Qing Ying's mouth opened slightly. Fully understood. The answer to the question she couldn't figure out was hidden within this unwritten etiquette. Lin Ziasu could accurately predict that his entry into the palace today would result in a 2-level promotion, not because he received prior information, but because he precisely grasped His Majesty's mindset. He proactively proposed to apply pressure on the sects. How could His Majesty not be delighted? One must know, His Majesty had just escaped from a sect trap. His hatred for them was like the raging river. Someone stepping forth to set rules for the sex was naturally welcomed. The average person wouldn't dare, for setting rules for sex is essentially seeking death. Only a genius like Mr. Li dared to take this step. Once this step is taken, the path ahead is clearly laid out by His Majesty. A major sect leader, in the etiquette of the dynasty, is aligned with a fourth-rank prefect. I can't let an official below the fourth rank go to your mountain and still pay respects to the sect leader, can I? Where's the presence of an inspection envoy in that? Hence, his position had to be elevated. How much should it be raised? It also can't be higher than the sect leader, as that would make the sect leader feel oppressed by imperial authority and rebel. Fourth rank to fourth rank, conversing as equals ensures a good discussion atmosphere. Thus, Lin Zaiasu previously determined he would be promoted by 2 levels today. The final result proved his judgment was spot on. In that moment, Qing Ying's reflection swirled around 360 degrees. Sir, you and your wisdom are just like the sun at the horizon. How did you manage to disguise yourself as the former Li Chengnian, maintaining a mid-level position in the Heart Pavilion? Your talent truly cannot be contained by a place like Heart Pavilion. Impressive. Truly impressive. Boldly impressive. With such thoughts, looking at the newly named Gauze Pavilion, she seemed to see another side of him through the words gauze. Gauze? Worldly matters are as thin as gauze. Is this his grand ambition? In his eyes, everything is as thin as gauze. He observes the world as if through gauze. This gauze pavilion is the window through which he, with his wisdom, views the world and lays the strategic foundations. Family head, His Highness is here. The butler rushed over urgently. Qing Ying's endless thoughts immediately withdrew from the unseen horizon and stood up abruptly. Lin Zaiasu stepped out from the pavilion into the drizzling rain to welcome him. The 7th Prince, Hong Yun, walked in leisurely through the rain. A woman held an umbrella for him at his side. This woman, with a face stunning beyond compare, exuded a heroic and spirited aura. "Welcome, Your Highness." Lin Zaiasu bowed slightly, the butler holding an umbrella for him. "Mr. Li, shall we continue our conversation in the Red Pavilion?" "Please, Your Highness." 2 umbrellas, 2 groups of people, one following the other into the Red Pavilion. No, from today, it should be called the Gauze Pavilion. Lin Zaiasu's gaze pierced through the rain and fog, sweeping over the beauty by the 7th Prince's side, and was already secretly surprised. This woman seemed to bear no abnormality. Yet the rain and fog around her changed in a peculiar manner. Seen through the heavenly Tao wisdom eye, there was a layer of extremely mysterious energy converging around her. Her cultivation is extraordinary. A level of cultivation that could shock Lin Zaiasu is certainly not ordinary. Enlightenment of God wouldn't register to him. To impress him, it must at least be enlightenment rules. Such a fallen prince has an enlightenment rules expert by his side. And judging by the interaction, the closeness between the two was also unusual. The 3 entered the pavilion, where a woman was waiting, bowing. This woman, of course, was Qing Ying. Other guests might be avoided by Qing Ying, but not His Highness. His Highness also knew Qing Ying was the daughter of the former Prime Minister, a capable ally on the same ship. "Mr. Li, let me introduce," the 7th Prince said. "This is my concubine named Fu Feng." "Greetings, concubine," Lin Zaiasu greeted. Fu Feng returned his smile gracefully and replied with a salute. "Mr. Li, please do not be so formal. I'm originally from the Jianghu, meeting the prince on the battlefield, not accustomed to official etiquette. Perhaps you can simply call me, young lady." "Very well," the 7th Prince laughed. "Fu Feng has been in my manor for some years, but has always been reluctant to accompany me on visits. Today, upon knowing your expert strategies that have resolved my difficulties multiple times, she insisted on coming to see you, the newly rising star of the court. Let's take it easy today." Chapter 674, Chapter 650, Official Promotion by 2 Levels, Not a Joke, Part 3. "Your Highness flatters me. How could I be the new favorite in the officialdom? It is all due to your support and the Emperor's favor," Lin Zaiasu said. "Your Highness, miss, please have a seat." Qing Ying offered tea and stood behind Lin Zaiasu. The 7th Prince picked up the teacup and took a gentle sip. "Mr. Li, my visit to the mansion at this moment is because of an unfinished matter." "An unfinished matter?" Lin Zaiasu was slightly taken aback. "An hour ago, 3 high monks left the Li Palace, but they didn't go far, and now they are stirring up trouble again." What have they done? They established an altar at the north gate, performing Buddhist rites to transfer merits for Chuan Kong. Lin Zaiasu's expression darkened slightly. These thieving monks are indeed reckless. Precisely so, the emperor is greatly enraged, but it's difficult to deal with them. After all, these three monks are just conducting rites for the deceased. In terms of emotion, reason, and law, the dynasty has no reason to interfere. However, the number of followers is growing, and the cause of Chuan Kong's death is spreading among the people, becoming completely distorted. If they are allowed to continue for 7 days, great changes might occur. Lin Zaiasu slowly lifted his gaze, quietly staring at the Liuxiang River outside. The seventh prince, holding his teacup, quietly watched him. Outside the pavilion, the wind was soft and the rain was fine, yet within his heart, it was a tangle of emotions. Recently, he experienced the greatest upheaval of his life, transforming from a severely troubled prince to one gradually favored by the emperor. His mother also secured the position of a concubine. The entire world could witness the rise of this prince, and he knew deeply that all of this was because of the person before him. It was this person who step by step rescued him from the quagmire of death, completing one impossible task after another. Because of this, he placed a blind trust in the person before him. He believed that no matter how difficult the situation, he could always find the answer here. So, regarding today's matter, is there an answer? The three great powers of Buddhism, Xuanfeng, Zhaidong, and Miao Yu, seized upon Xuan Kong's death and refused to let it go, forcing the dynasty to pay a heavy price. Their cultivation was undoubtedly supreme, but in terms of cultivation, the dynasty was not afraid of them. If they resorted to violence, things would be easier to resolve. But they didn't resort to violence. They resorted to subtlety, performing rites for a fellow on the Buddhist path. With their status in Buddhism, they could easily gather millions of followers. They didn't need to give commands to the followers, they merely needed to set the tone. Once the tone was set, the followers would naturally harbor resentment against the dynasty. Tell me which dynasty could accept such a thing happening in Beijing. Tell me which emperor wouldn't be enraged seeing this. Yet there's no way to deal with them. Send troops to suppress them. That would be adding fuel to the fire. The only people you could kill would be your own subjects, who can kill these three high monks holding the way. If you can't kill them, any mobilization of troops would be wrong. If no troops are mobilized, then you can only argue. Their altar is established there, and they are all great powers of Buddhism. How could you argue with Buddhism? Nobody could argue with them. All you could do is watch them, gathering millions of people, gradually stripping away the dynasty's mercy and justice. This shakes the very foundation of the dynasty. This is the countermeasure taken by the three high monks against what happened in the Golden Hall. Who says high monks have no heart for revenge? Lin Zaiasu slowly withdrew his gaze, a smile appearing on his face. Your Highness, why don't we go take a look? Take a look. Yes, indeed, the three great powers of Buddhism holding a Buddhist discussion. What a grand event. Since we've come across it, we should take a look. Then shall we go? Lin Zaiasu said. Over there, it's likely already crowded. No need for a carriage, let's fly. The light of the king's seal gathered them. They flew across half of the capital, landing on the shores of Liuxiang Lake. Liuxiang Lake, a lake in the northern part of the capital, with its picturesque scenery, was especially moving in the light rain. This lake belonged to the imperial family, because it was the water source for the entire capital. The water from the lake nourished the capital via the Liuxiang River that flowed through the city. Around the lake, taverns were abundant. Brothels were abundant. The stone foundations were blue, the walls and roofs vibrant, exceedingly enchanting. To the north, amidst the swirling clouds and mist, a tall pavilion rose. That was the famous Zhen Heaven Pavilion of the capital. Zhen Heaven Pavilion, ancient and time-worn, but with a peculiar design. The lower part of the grand pavilion was like any other, but its top was flat, as if chopped off by a sword. The people of the capital say the pavilion was constructed this way because of one reason. Being on the mountain, its height was too great. If it were built complete, the pinnacle would surpass the main hall of the imperial palace. That would seem like defiance, so the pavilion was left without a top, implying that even with its might, it was a pavilion under the dynasty. This explanation was grand and proper, and everyone believed it. However, Lin Zaiasu, in the Chuankong primordial spirit he just obtained, learned a secret that made this explanation quite ironic. This pavilion, which seemed to have been sliced by a sword at the top, in fact, wasn't merely seemed like. It was indeed sliced by a sword at the top. The one who sliced the top was from Kang Yuan. This sword was not a sword wielded by the dynasty to defend its dignity. On the contrary, it was a warning sword from Kang Yuan to the dynasty. This secret, perhaps even the seventh prince beside him didn't know, but Lin Ziaosu knew. Speaking of this, it is necessary to mention the recent event. The other ingenious move Lin Ziaosu made by resolutely killing the Xuankong primordial spirit. This ingenious move was exterminating the Xuankong primordial spirit by his own hand, refining its fragments. By refining the primordial spirit, he could obtain some secrets from it. Xuankong, being a high-ranking member of the mental path, what terrifying secrets lay within his primordial spirit? Under normal circumstances, it would be nearly impossible for Lin Ziaosu to access the memories of such a high-level figure, but today he did it. Chapter 675, Chapter 650, Promotion by 2 Levels is No Joke Part 4. This refining process is akin to sitting at home, as resources continuously come to you. Every deciphering of a primordial spirit fragment brings new insights. Various secrets are one aspect. The other gain is the rapid growth of his primordial spirit visible to the naked eye. The 2 primordial spirits in the sea of consciousness gradually bear clear features of Lin Ziaosu. What does this signify? It signifies a direction Hua Maioi once mentioned is becoming reality. What was that phrase she said? The heavenly Tao primordial spirit is a blessing for cultivators, but it also has flaws. The biggest flaw is this primordial spirit wasn't cultivated by yourself and may leave you at any time. The only solution is to strengthen one's primordial spirit and refine the heavenly Tao primordial spirit for personal use. He refines Xuankong's primordial spirit of the realm of Tao mastery, rapidly strengthening his own primordial spirit. Though currently it's not truly his yet, given time it surely will succeed. Let's not stray too far. Back to reality. The reality is at the bank of Liu Xiang River, before the Zhen Heaven Pavilion. 3 bald heads are causing trouble. And this trouble is quite significant. The mysteries of Buddhism are boundless. Master Xuanfeng chants scriptures, truly spitting golden lotus with every word, golden lotus petals forming the Buddhist altar beneath him. This altar continues to rise slowly. The other 2 are doing the same. Just that the golden lotus they spit is slightly different from his. Xuanfeng's golden lotus is bright. As his Buddhist altar rises, the lake reflects the outline of golden lotus. Jade's golden lotus is deeply hued. Behind him, a giant golden lotus emerges in the void. Master Miao Yu's golden lotus appears more delicate, yet envelops her whole body. As the altar rises, she ascends like a true Buddhist deity's golden statue. Buddhist chants echo. The brilliance of Buddhist path transforms the entire world into a Buddhist temple. Below, the carriage halts. People stop walking. No more brothel music to be heard. Numerous warrens gather at the windows. Their faces lose the usual charm, replaced with solemnity. What kind of atmosphere brings such solemnity to brothel women? Batches of devotees kneel. Hundreds, thousands, several thousands. Their identities are varied. Hawkers, ladies from big families, scholars, warriors, dozens of officials are present. Their faces subtly relax from initial tension, becoming calmer. Lin Ziaosu scans them. His heart lightly skips. Should these officials kneel, that would be interesting. High halls are so, splendid pavilion is so, mountains and rivers are so, town streets are so, humanity is so, all are so. Master Xuanfeng's Buddhist chant carries magical power, silently smoothing away anxieties. The 7th prince leans toward Lin Ziaosu's ear. Mr. Li, this is Buddhist scripture, Buddhist scripture. Lin Ziaosu nods slightly. From the other side, a gentle female voice sighs. Exorcise calamity, exorcise the heart, exorcise humanity, exorcise spirits, all things in the world, nothing isn't exorcised. This is 3-level scripture of the Buddhist path. Master Jade in the middle chants the great wisdom scripture. Buddha says, what does the wise do? Doing is doing, doing is not doing evil is doing good, all mundane dust is mundane dust, all Western heaven is Western heaven. Buddhist scripture is about acceptance, 3-level is about transcendence, great wisdom is about doing and not doing. The 7th prince lightly breathes out. Based on the scriptures they chant, it seems they accept Xuan Kong's death and aren't planning any evil acts. Yet their deeds are certainly wicked. Lin Ziasu smiles faintly. Wicked actions cloaked in virtuous guise. Fine, I'll challenge them. How will you challenge them? Isn't it just a scripture debate? It's not only them who can do it, Lin Ziasu remarked. He steps forward, heading towards the three high monks. This step, the seventh prince's heart jolts with fear. What is he up to? Scripture debate. You're going to debate scriptures with the three high monks. Do you realize what you're saying? Chapter 676, Chapter 651, the author of the Heart Sutra. Qing Ying, does your master excel in the Buddhist path? The seventh prince looked towards Qing Ying. His confidant Fu Feng also turned her gaze to Qing Ying, showing extreme concern. Qing Ying looked puzzled. I have never seen our master read Buddhist scriptures, but his actions have always been methodical. Your Highness, just watch quietly. Fu Feng's gaze shifted lightly. Your Highness, I'll wander over there. All right. Fu Feng left the original spot. Her figure quickly melded into the crowd. The next moment, her figure completely vanished, and inexplicably she appeared in a room above the nearby tavern. In this room she appeared, facing a girl in white. This girl was delicate and petite, with a pointed chin and ears. Her entire aura seemed to drip from her adorable little ears. She was none other than the Kinkyu seventh princess. Seventh sister, you actually came to Desert City. Fu Feng was shocked. Just moments ago she received a transmission from the seventh princess while beside the seventh prince, already finding it unbelievable, and now seeing her youngest sister in person, she was truly astonished. The sister was already betrothed, and in just over 2 months she would be married. Why wasn't she waiting at home for the wedding, but instead wandering the Jianghu? Was there no sense of propriety? Big sis, you have to save me. In this whole world only you can save me. When Grandma was dying she held your hand and told you those words. Today you must honor them. She said our mother isn't reliable. Out of all Kinkyu only you big sis can be relied upon. Now it seems evident Grandma was the wisest. She knew everything. The seventh princess clutched Fu Feng's hand, launching into a lengthy tale, starting with the deceased grandmother. Fu Feng gritted her teeth in frustration, finally interrupting. Get to the point. Big sis, my fate is so hard, I can't go on truly. The seventh princess' eyes were filled with tears, using her sister's sleeve to wipe them as she finally got to the point. I met my soulmate in the Jianghu, my true destined love. He's my brother Su. Brother Su loves me, and I love him. This is what Big Sis often calls mutual affection, but those old-timers in the clan intend to sell me to the Li family for the Heart Pavilion's support. Thus the arranged marriage 3 months from now. Understood, you have a soulmate, but this Mr. Li isn't who you want, Fu Feng figured out. Yes, didn't Big Sis always say, the heart is very small, it can only hold one person. I'm not like our shameless third sister who could fit 80 or so people. My heart can only hold one. So what are you asking for? Just say it directly. Fu Feng was exasperated. This girl knew she had a grudge with the third sister, adding an insult whenever mentioning her, appealing to Fu Feng's preferences, but without being outright deceitful. She was just cunning. Fu Feng was too weary to argue, just wanted to know her agenda. So Big Sis, you have to kill him. This time it's straightforward. Simple and direct. Kill Li Chengnian. This was the seventh princess' decisive plan. Kill him? Fu Feng's eyes widened. The shameless third sister has already chosen the wrong side, but her warning is correct. If Uncle Li doesn't die, even if I escape to the ends of the earth, the clan will capture me and send me to his ragged bed. The only plan now is the decisive strike to kill him, the seventh princess said. It's not easy for others to kill him, but it's too easy for you, Big Sis. You live right next to him. Your Tianhu needle is formless and invisible. No one will ever trace it. Well, the Big Sis slowly shook her head. No way, absolutely not. His Highness values him greatly. He's his reliable aide. His Highness finding one good aide is a rarity. How could I mess this up? Value him for what? He's just a master of pretense. He's actually more harm than help. If His Highness relies on him, he'd end up in failure. You'd definitely become a widow. Fu Feng gritted her teeth in frustration. Suddenly, her eyes lit up, because she saw a scene below. Lin Ziasu walked through the street very poised, but his steps never paused, gradually becoming the odd one out in the crowd. As everyone stood still, he walked towards 3 high monks. What's that fool doing? The seventh princess also saw it. Is he debating Buddhism with the monks? Fu Feng murmured. Debating Buddhism? He knows nothing about Buddhism. He's just showing off, Big Sis, you see. Someone like him with no depth, how could he ever be an aid to His Highness? This remark, casting aside the ever-present subjective undertone, actually seemed somewhat objective. Fu Feng's heart also arose with a similar sentiment, that this papermate brother-in-law indeed lacked depth, considering the nature of the occasion. Daring to approach like that. The whole Beijing knew Li Chengyan loved to show off, boasting of his literary knowledge everywhere, but choosing to show off at such an occasion would be idiotic. Meanwhile, inside Zhen Heaven Pavilion Master Lei Zhentian's face was dark, staring in that direction. In front of him were two teams, one of scholars, the other of monks. The scholars were self-assured, filled with confidence, speaking in classic idiomatic phrases. What is Zhen Heaven Pavilion? It's the place reigning over all doctrines for the dynasty. Why did these three monks choose to set up a legal field outside Zhen Heaven Pavilion rather than anywhere else in the vast Beijing? What is their intention? This is undermining our Zhen Heaven's reputation. How can we tolerate this? Let us use Confucian classics to show them what is meant by things one must not do. Wait, they have presented the Buddhist path. If we aim to suppress, we must do it with Buddhist path as well. Otherwise, they won't accept it, and Beijing's people will surely say our Zhen Heaven Pavilion can't truly reign over all doctrines. Chapter 677, Chapter 651, the author of the Heart Sutra. When the enemy challenges at the gate, I must respond. This is a challenge. How can one be confined by worldly conventions? In an instant, the scholars were arguing amongst themselves, faces flushed red. This is the basic demeanor of scholars. When there's a topic to discuss, even a dead frog must be squeezed for water. The faces of the three Buddhist hall elders turned first green, then red. Zhen Heaven Pavilion also has a Buddhist hall. When monks generally visit for debates, they can also make the visitors question their lives. However, it depends on who the visitor is. But these three, who in the Buddhist community does not know them? Abbot Chuanfeng of Kangyun Temple, Abbot Jide of Deju Temple, and Hostess Miao Yu of Luohua Temple. These are the three great Buddhas of the Buddhist community. In terms of seniority, they surpass us. In terms of cultivation, they are difficult to catch up in their lifetime. In terms of Buddhist path accomplishments, they are even more far beyond reach. How to debate with them? As soon as they step out of Zhen Heaven Pavilion and arrive at the scene, one must first offer a junior courtesy to them, and then most likely get lost in the Buddhist path field they create, unable to extricate themselves. At this moment, a young official stepped into the position between the three masters, raised his head and smiled. The three masters are in high spirits. As for debating Buddhism in Beijing, this official has some research on the Buddhist path too. Why not join the debate? His voice wasn't loud, yet as soon as he spoke, it reverberated throughout the venue. Everyone present was suddenly shocked. A person dressed in a fourth-rank, official uniform came to debate Buddhism. What's going on? Fu Feng and the seventh princess exchanged glances. Is it a real debate? On the other side, in the Zhen Heaven Pavilion. Zhen Heaven Pavilion Master Lei Zhentian furrowed his brows. The imperial decree has just been issued. Fourth-rank inspection envoy Li Chengyan aims to go to Jiangnan and face the 81 sects head-on, and Luohua Temple among these three sects is precisely one of the 81 sects. Does it mean his suppression of the 81 sects involves a path of Buddhism? The decree Your Majesty issued has already reached the Zhen Heaven Pavilion. Because Zhen Heaven Pavilion was specifically called as the needed helper, Your Majesty also decreed, demanding Zhen Heaven Pavilion to cooperate fully. The three high monks slightly opened their eyelids, but none paid him any attention. Even though it's been made clear to give the imperial family a stern look, they naturally need not show courtesy to the imperial family anymore. Even if Your Majesty himself personally arrived, he probably could not stop this Buddhist event, much less this young official whom they extremely loathe. Indeed, being high monks of the Buddhist community, they seldom detest worldly individuals, but Lin Ziaosu happens to touch exactly that impossible point repeatedly. Their ability to restrain themselves from personally crushing him to death with his actions already counts as a triumph of Buddhist law, keeping a peaceful mindset. Lin Ziaosu wasn't wasting time, sitting cross-legged, opening his mouth to recite the sutra. When the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara practices deep prajnaparamita, he perceives that the five aggregates are empty and transcends all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is not different from emptiness. Emptiness is not different from form. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. The same applies to perception, thought, volition, and consciousness. A mere 60-something words became gradually heavier. It was as though the Buddha was traveling, emerging from the Buddhist hall, step by step, and gradually his presence appeared in the vast universe. Each word carried its own mystical mechanism of the Buddhist path. Each word was as heavy as Mount Tai. Each word brought forth great transcendence. Each word encapsulated the brilliance of wisdom accumulated over thousands of years. The chanting of the three great monks continued, their voices undeterred, while Lin Xiaosu's chanting remained gentle. Yet, in the perception of the crowd, it was an entirely different scene. Closing their eyes, the chanting of the three great monks constructed a towering Buddhist edifice, creaking, seemingly overwhelmed by the Buddhist path grinding, whereas Lin Xiaosu's chanting grew louder with each syllable. By the last word of these 63 words, there was no more noise in the world, only the purest, most profound sound of the Heart Sutra. The Heart Sutra, the foremost of 10,000 Buddhist scriptures. Appearing for the first time in this realm, it instantly claimed its position within the heavenly Tao disk. This was unrelated to their cultivation, purely based on the weight of the scripture itself. Thousands of believers in the crowd were greatly shaken in their hearts, feeling the Buddhist path power conveyed through the scripture. They all turned towards Lin Xiaosu. With their turn, the three towers constructed by the great monks using the strength of the Buddhist path suddenly ceased growing. And beneath Lin Xiaosu's feet, layers of Buddha light appeared, a tower base forming out of nowhere. A Buddhist path contention. The seventh prince's eyes widened in disbelief. Beside him, Qing Ying's mouth was half open, even more incredulous. In Zhen Heaven Pavilion, several old monks' faces turned bright red. Amitabha, this scripture's profundity surpasses ancient and modern. What scripture is it? This old monk has never heard. What scripture is it? Surely this scripture is the treasure of the Buddhist community, said another old monk. Not only had they never heard of it, the feelings of the three great monks were much deeper, tenfold or hundredfold. They suddenly felt their scripture was crude and inferior. In terms of smoothness and depth, it was far inferior to this Heart Sutra. In such circumstances, what can they do? Amitabha, exert yourselves fully. We absolutely cannot let our spirit platform collapse underfoot, came a voice from Master Mayoyu. The three Buddhist powers mobilized their entire Buddhist law attainments, with dignified appearance, chanting their respective scriptures. However, Lin Xiaosu's Heart Sutra flowed like a vast ocean, stepping into more profound realms. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no perception, thought, volition, or consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, or mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or law, no realm of the eyes until the realm of consciousness, no ignorance nor the cessation of ignorance until no old age and death, nor the cessation of old age and death, no suffering, origination, cessation, or path, no wisdom or attainment, with nothing to attain because nothing is attained. Boom! The consciousnesses of the three high monks seemed to experience a storm. The torrent of Buddhist path rushed down, once again deafening their chants. The three monks' expressions drastically changed, tightly guarding their spirit platform, resisting the all-pervading grind of the Buddhist path. Chapter 678, Chapter 651, the author of the Heart Sutra. However, this act of resistance further destabilized their Buddhist path's core, causing chaos as heart demons invaded their sea of consciousness. The three monks shuddered inwardly, no longer daring to resist, accepting the empowerment of this Buddhist Heart Sutra. With this empowerment, they suddenly felt that each word of the scripture seemed imbued with mystical power. Every word seemed the answer of their millennia of enlightenment in front of Buddha, with the possibility of sudden awakening every moment. Amitabha, Master Jaideng's four-character Buddhist chant echoed in the ears of the other two. Do not accept its doctrine. This is the grand mystical mechanism when debating Buddha. When high monks debate Buddha, they can bring the entire assembly of followers into their world of the Buddhist path, with the key to entry being acceptance. But today, Lin Xiaosu, an outsider to Buddhism chanting sutras, what if he brings these three high monks in? In a sense, the three high monks would be his followers. What kind of debate on Buddhism would this become? The three high monks, with extraordinary insight, understood this principle well, focusing the spirit platform in their sea of consciousness, using their own Buddhist path attainment to counter this profoundly extreme Buddhist Heart Sutra. But this confrontation led them into yet another trap. The Buddhist Heart Sutra possessed such great power because the heavenly Tao acknowledged it. To resist assimilation is to act against the heavens. They found themselves completely passive in an instant. Their lotus pedestals beneath them dissolved layer by layer, while Lin Xiaosu's lotus pedestal beneath his feet ascended step by step. Thus knowing the Prajna Paramita is the great mantra, the brilliant mantra, the supreme mantra, the unequaled mantra, capable of removing all suffering, genuinely true. Therefore, recite the Prajna Paramita mantra. Boom! The lotus illusion within the lake created by Master Xuanfeng shattered into pieces. Pug! The body Buddha of Miao Lion crafted by Master Miaoyu was covered in cracks. Chi! The lotus illusion conjured by Master Jade in the void extinguished directly. The mantra is recited, Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. The Heart Sutra ended here. The entire Buddhist aura around the three high monks was in utter chaos, with their Buddhist path high platforms beneath their feet riddled with holes and defects, which they forcibly stabilized with their own cultivation of 1,000 years, but could only be humbled beneath Lin Xiaosu. Because as the Heart Sutra concluded, the lotus pedestal beneath Lin Xiaosu's feet layered continuously, forming a 9-level lotus platform. He was elevated on the lotus platform, while the three high monks appeared to bow at his feet. Meanwhile, over 10,000 followers in the congregation had unknowingly faced him, bowing at his feet. If asked when these followers had turned, they surely would not know, as they were unaware themselves. This was the pull of the Buddhist path. Master Jide slowly opened his eyes, filled with unwillingness. Master Xuanfeng softly declared the Buddhist name. Amitabha, Mr. Li, what is the name of this scripture? The Heart Sutra. How does Buddhism possess the Heart Sutra? You. Master Jide uttered these 7 words, and his voice suddenly cut off. Because transformation suddenly arose on Lin Xiaosu's lotus platform. The 9 layers of lotus turned into 9 sheets of golden paper, upon which was the scripture of the Heart Sutra he had just recited. As the scripture combined, like golden geese soaring through the sky above Beijing, the golden pages fluttered, converging into a book titled the Heart Sutra. With the formation of the Heart Sutra, magnificent light shone for 10,000 miles, celestial chants filled the sky with peace and joy. The old monk of Zhen Heaven Pavilion suddenly stepped to the window, tore off the curtain, and stared blankly at the sky. Is an author's scripture from Buddhism, once complete, considered a sacred text? Lei Zhen Tian's expression suddenly changed. As the pavilion master of Zhen Heaven Pavilion, he was well versed in all Tao, and naturally understood what it meant for Buddhism to author a scripture. The so-called authoring of scripture in Buddhism refers to the first creation. It is the original. Generally, when high monks chant sutras, they chant pre-existing scriptures. No matter how thoroughly you interpret the Buddhist principles, it remains chanting. While authoring a scripture, under this heavenly Tao, this scripture did not exist. Only by leaving behind a monumental work of Buddhism would the heavenly Tao turn pages for you, name it for you, and grant you the strange phenomenon of Buddhist light illuminating 10,000 miles. Mr. Li, engaging in scripture debate with the 3 great powers of Buddhism, seemed overly ambitious, yet the ultimate outcome was he single-handedly authored a scripture, using the great power of Buddhist path to forcefully crush the 3 high monks. Boom! The Buddha tower beneath the 3 high monks crumbled. The 3 high monks stood in the void with their realm cultivation, yet beneath their feet, there was no trace of a foundation in the Buddhist path. Lin Xiaosu stood atop the Buddha platform, holding a seemingly ethereal yet solid Heart Sutra, gazing down at them. 3 masters, the Buddhist path is for the salvation of the world, the Buddhist path follows the heavens, the Buddhist path cannot be a tool for villains to wield, nor can it go against the heavens and all beings. Great Wilderness Beijing is not a place for your 3 to act recklessly with the name of Buddha. It would be best to return to your own mountain gates and contemplate the essential principles of Buddhism for 1,000 years. This long passage suddenly made the 3 high monks feel their Buddhist hearts were riddled with holes. In the debate on Buddhism, they were utterly defeated. Not defeated at the hands of a high monk of the Buddhist path, but at the hands of a young man who was not even a disciple of Buddhism. The last passage sounded modest, yet who could not detect the deep-seated disdain in his words? He plainly informed the 3 that their Buddhist law was not worth mentioning. They were not qualified to debate Buddhism in Desert City, and they should return to their old homes and cultivate for 1,000 more years. How insulting were these words! Yet the man indeed had this qualification, because he single-handedly forcefully crushed 3 great heads of Buddhism without leaving them any room to counter. They are the giants of Buddhism. They are also the heads of their sects. Their dignity, their face, their thousands of years of accumulated reputation are shattered at this moment, leaving them no face to re-enter Desert City. Amitabha. 3 chants of the Buddha's name. 3 figures passed through the sky. The 3 high monks left desolately. Linzayasu smiled faintly, and the lotus platform beneath his feet transformed into a gigantic lotus flower, carrying him down from the sky. Chapter 679, Chapter 651, the author of the Heart Sutra. He walked step by step toward the lakeside. With each step he took, a golden lotus bloomed, growing fainter and fainter, until finally, as he approached the 7th prince, all the Buddhist manifestations completely disappeared. The scripture in his hand also vanished, transforming into a bodhi. Upon this bodhi, there were words as fine as silk, containing the full text of the Heart Sutra. This Heart Sutra bodhi entered the secret realm, representing Linzayasu as a mysterious sutra keeper returning to a 4th-rank official in Beijing. Mr. Li, I really can't imagine how you could still master Buddhist law. The 7th prince suddenly stretched out his hand, gripping his shoulder. Just miscellaneous knowledge, that's all, Linzayasu said. Your Highness, I've arrived outside the Zhen Heaven Pavilion, and I shall prepare to enter today. Do you need me to accompany you? The 7th prince asked. No need. Linzayasu stretched out his hand, grabbing Qing Ying, moved his feet and rose into the air, heading towards the Zhen Heaven Pavilion. The 7th prince watched his back in a daze. And in the nearby tavern in that room, the 7th princess was holding her forehead, staring blankly at the sky, her mouth slightly ajar. Beside her, her elder sister took a long breath, followed by a sigh. 7th sister, have we all misjudged him? The 7th princess seemed to awaken from a dream. Her gaze shifted over. 7th sister, you just said he likes to disguise. Perhaps it's true, yet this disguise doesn't necessarily mean he's pretending to be capable when he's not. Maybe he originally had full ability, but he's only showing a 10th. I don't care, I don't listen. The 7th princess raised her hands to cover her ears, shaking her head fiercely. Anyway, I just like my brother Su. Can your brother Su easily resolve court disputes? Can he easily determine the fate of a sect? Can he write a Heart Sutra and be famous for eternity? The 7th princess looked at her naively. My brother Su is good-looking. Good-looking? Can good looks be eaten? Yes, they can. You, the gentle and elegant elder sister, the unique generation of heavenly pride, a lady of Kinkyu refined in the prince mansion, was almost angered to death by this 7th sister. Elder sister, you should just kill him, Grandma said before she died. Stop, Fu Feng suddenly raised her hand, halting her endless harassment about their deceased grandmother, took a deep breath. 7th sister, can we speak reasonably? All right. As for me killing him, don't even think about it at this stage. I can't let your Highness miss such a heavenly pride because of you, Fu Feng said. You have your Highness, can't I have my brother Su? You can't be so selfish, Grandma said before she died. Stop, Fu Feng urgently stopped, took another breath. How about this? You stay with me for now, use 2 months to observe him. If he's indeed not worthy of marrying, I promise. I promise to send you out of the great wilderness before your wedding. You can go to the ancient sect to find your brother Su. Elder sister, I like you a lot. In all of Kinkyu, you're the only one I like. You deserve everyone's love. No wonder your Highness treasures you. The 7th princess hugged her. I know. Whoever can help you find a wild man, you'll like them. Fu Feng patted her shoulder. When you go to the prince mansion, don't reveal your identity. Your Highness still doesn't know I'm from Kinkyu. Rest assured, since you're helping my affair, I surely won't ruin your affair. I'm not the shameless 3rd sister. The 2 sisters reached a consensus. Linzayasu could never have imagined, nor could anyone in the Li mansion have imagined, that there was now a monitor among them. The person was the nominal wife of the Li mansion, Kinkyu's 7th princess. Of course, no one could have thought that this 7th princess, filled with thoughts, was not about marrying into the Li family, but about killing this family head. The sole purpose was to create a condition to elope with her brother Su. However, Kinkyu's 7th princess coldly could not fathom. The very person she wanted dead, the obstacle she deemed as blocking her path, was precisely her cherished brother Su. Such is the wonder of the world. The involved parties have departed. The ripples left behind still sway. Passers-by on the street noted the momentary eternal glory of the official. In 3 ancient monasteries in the city, the full text of the Heart Sutra was recorded through Buddha divine power. One insight led everyone to meditate. In the deep palace, Your Majesty's stern face finally showed a smile. Your Majesty, did Mr. Li once again give Your Majesty a surprise? Minister of the Ministry of Justice Song Lifu's tone was very relaxed. This might be his most relaxed moment in years. Your Majesty laughed. This Li Aching, he always gives me some surprises now and then. Song Aching, do you predict his trip to Jiangnan will bring me more surprises? Song Lifu pondered for a moment. Old Minister believes it depends on Your Majesty's expectations. If only expecting him to contain the chaotic Jianghu, I believe Mr. Li will not disappoint Your Majesty, but if hoping for him to settle Jiangnan. He didn't continue. Your Majesty slowly shook his head. Settling Jiangnan, that is certainly impossible. If he can truly subdue 10 or 8 sects of the 81 sects of Jiangnan, that would be a surprise for me. Not hoping to settle Jiangnan, just hoping to rebel 10 or 8 sects among the 81 sects. This is Your Majesty's expectation. He only dared to hope for this much. Chapter 680-652. The Madwoman Drills the Troops. Lin Ziasu and Qing Ying stepped through the void and landed outside Zhen Heaven Pavilion. Zhen Heaven Pavilion, even when viewed from a distance, was incredibly stunning, and up close, it was akin to confronting an immortal temple. The architecture soared into the clouds. Its imposing presence shook the earth and touched the heavens. Perhaps this is the essence of the Zhen Heaven in Zhen Heaven Pavilion, forged by centuries of rise and fall, forming a mission's imprint. Just as Lin Ziasu arrived, a group of people came striding along. Leading them was a white-haired elder, moving with the vigor of a dragon and tiger, appearing like a white-haired general on inspection. But when he got closer, he offered a scholar's greeting. Zhen Heaven Pavilion Master Lei Tianlin, greetings Mr. Li. Lin Ziasu quickly paid his respects in an official manner. Mr. Lei is a first-grade official. How could I dare trouble you to personally welcome me? Lei Tianlin reached out, grasped his shoulder, and laughed heartily. To be honest, Mr. Li, if it were any other day, I truly wouldn't have come out to personally greet you. But today is different. Mr. Li just drove away 3 eminent monks from Beijing at the gates of Zhen Heaven Pavilion, exalting the power of our dynasty. Regardless of circumstances, I must come to greet you personally. This is the benefit brought by Lin Ziasu's discussion on Buddhism outside Zhen Heaven Pavilion. The 3 eminent monks chose to set up a Buddhist altar outside Zhen Heaven Pavilion, which indeed carries a hint of pressure against Zhen Heaven Pavilion. Although Zhen Heaven Pavilion does not remotely compare to the million dragon riders of the founding years, its function remains unchanged. The duty it shoulders is to suppress any opposition to the dynasty. Hence, it is regarded as a pillar of the dynasty. The 3 eminent monks' challenge outside the pavilion, if left unchecked, would be akin to stepping on the dynasty's pillar and gaining eternal fame. Zhen Heaven Pavilion was originally quite troubled. With Lin Ziasu's intervention, the 3 eminent monks fled in panic, and the greatest beneficiary was this Zhen Heaven Pavilion master. This can be considered a gesture from Lin Ziasu to Zhen Heaven Pavilion, establishing their initial meeting on a deeply harmonious foundation. This left Qing Ying deeply moved. People say the officialdom is hard to navigate. She naturally knew the hardships of officialdom were far greater than the rumors. Even her father, once a distinguished first-grade prime minister, found the pavilion master of Zhen Heaven Pavilion difficult to deal with. And he, with an unassuming entry into office for only a few days, comes to Zhen Heaven Pavilion for the first time and receives such a warm welcome. This gentleman's extraordinariness is simply beyond her father's. Amitabha, this humble monk greets the Buddhist scholar. The 3 old monks simultaneously offered a bow. Not only did this settle the matters at the top, but it also happened to resolve one of the 8 domains of Zhen Heaven Pavilion, the Buddhist hall. After Lin Ziasu returned the gesture, Lei Tianlin got straight to the point. Mr. Li, Your Majesty's decree has been issued. Command to call a town-level elite to serve under you at your command. This pavilion has independently owned 27 town-level units, all with remarkable combat capabilities. You may select as you wish. Mr. Lei's execution of His Majesty's decree is indeed swift and decisive. I greatly admire it. Lin Ziasu said. How about Mr. Lei summon both commanders and deputy commanders of these 27 units for me to make a selection? All right, Lei Tianlin gestured broadly. Make it happen. A person beside him soared into the sky to gather the commanders and deputy commanders. Gathering all the generals requires a little time, Mr. Li. Please first have a seat in Zhen Heaven Pavilion Hall. Mr. Lei, please. Mr. Li, please. Zhen Heaven Pavilion Hall, though it's called a hall, carries its own majesty. The walls of the Grand Hall are cast in black iron. Opposite is a giant map, the Dahuang map. It marks the states, the prefectures, the counties, and also notes mountains, rivers, and lakes. Naturally, it also marks the influence of various sects. This is what distinguishes this world from the typical feudal society. In a typical feudal society, finding a complete map is almost impossible. Many people dedicate their entire lives to crafting maps to present to the emperor as a wartime divine artifact. But here humans can fly. Surveying from the sky makes mapping not as difficult. The fourth realm is clearly marked as well, with Yan country to the north, Chu country to the west, Yi country to the east, and the South Sea to the south, beyond which lies the central domain. Mr. Li, can you give me a hint now? What mission has your majesty entrusted to you? Lei Tianlin asked. Mr. Lei does know. The decree did not specify the particular task, only mentioned selecting a town-level unit. Lin Ziaosu hesitated slightly. Then perhaps I should wait until they are all gathered, and then inform you truthfully. About half an hour later, a trusted aide reported. All commanders have arrived. Everyone come in, Lei Tianlin ordered. Order, all commanders and deputy commanders enter the hall, with a resounding shout from the aide at the entrance. The master of the military hall of Zhen Heaven Pavilion led the commanders of 27 town-level units into the venue. One unit has a commanding chief envoy and a deputy commander present, totaling no more than 50 people. However, their entry alone carries the aura of thousands of troops. Rumbling sounds. The floor beneath Lin Ziaosu's feet rose, elevating 3 feet. He and Lei Tianlin thus stood atop the platform. The generals entered below with an impressive presence. On the left were the chief commanders, on the right the deputy commanders. Their physiques varied greatly. Yes, Lin Ziaosu had never seen a troop with such a disparity in physiques. The first commander on the left towered over 6 meters tall. The second was of a normal build, roughly 1.8 meters tall. The third was extremely short, only about 1.23 meters, but measured horizontally at least a meter. The fourth had a tall and thin frame, 3 meters in height, with a waist slimmer than that of a brothel woman. Over 50 individuals made their appearance in such diverse, magnificent styles. Yet these individuals shared one common trait. All had eyes with an intent to kill, and an aura of lethal violence, clearly men forged by countless battles. Report to Mr. Lei. A guard stepped forward from the rear. 27 town-level units, 54 chief and deputy commanders, 54 should be present, but currently 53 are present. Chapter 680, 1-652, Madwoman's Military Training, Part 2. Lei Tianlin swept his gaze across the crowd. Quang Leng, why is he absent? Quang Leng. Lin Ziaosu glanced over the crowd and instantly knew who was missing. The commander's position below was paired left and right, with the 7th commander's opposite side being empty. This indicated the missing person was the deputy commander of the 7th squad. This was likely the reason Lei Tianlin immediately identified who was absent. The commander of the 7th squad stepped forward. Lord, this deputy commander of mine has thrown a tantrum again. This isn't the first time, but certainly the most outrageous. Oh, what happened? Speak. Lei Tianlin's face darkened. What happened today? It's Mr. Li's visit to select the squad. Mr. Li is an imperial envoy, and if something tarnishes the reputation of Zhen Heaven Pavilion and reaches your majesty's ears, it's no small matter. The 7th squad's deputy commander is absent. Even though it's a minor mistake, if handled correctly, it wouldn't be a big deal. But Hong Bin, what's the matter? Opening his mouth to complain like this. The imperial envoy has heard those words. Without pursuing it thoroughly, things will only worsen and must be pursued further. The other commanders looked at 7th Commander Hong Bin knowingly. This Hong Bin really can't manage his deputy. He's wanted to kick the deputy out for a long time. Today he found his chance. In such a setting, exposing everything openly forcing Master Lei to take severe action. Yes, Lord. Hong Bin clenched his fists to salute. Quang Lang trained soldiers with extreme cruelty and obsession, making them carry thousands of pounds and sprint 300 miles. The incident renders over 100 people feudal just past, now more rampant, claiming if they cannot be trained to death, they be trained to death, planning to send all 3,000 soldiers into the reverse flow pond. Reverse flow pond. Lei Tianlan's pupils contracted sharply. Indeed, the reverse flow pond is not for ordinary soldiers. Once entered, it might reduce personnel by 2 or 3 parts, Hong Bin said. I resolutely refused, and she called me having a woman's mindset, not able to achieve great things. Lord, how can such an arrogant person not be dealt with? Thus, I used military law and confined her for 3 days. Just as the Lord summoned me, I personally released her, asking to follow me into the palace for orders. She turned away and left a sentence. Granny S. done playing. Lord, this kind of deputy I really cannot serve any more. Upon these words, he was filled with excitement. Lin Ziasu's eyes slightly brightened. Quang Lang trained soldiers, if not to death, to train them to death. Quang Lang calling herself Granny. Such a ruthless woman. Lei Tianlan also felt overwhelmed by numbness. This Hong Bin, yet where is he complaining about his deputy? Clearly, he is complaining against the master of the military hall. Everyone knows Quang Lang was promoted solely by the master of the military hall. Before, upon committing offenses, it was the master who shielded her. Now, Hong Bin seized the opportunity with the imperial envoy and pavilion master present, exposing everything. The subtext is clear. I want to see how the master shields her. The master of the military hall's face turned ash-gray, but it was not his turn to speak. Moreover, he really did not know how to speak. This illegitimate daughter, you really don't let your father rest easy. Why was I blind to create you with your mother, such a peculiar woman? Lei Tianlan's face did not look good either, and he waved his hand. This matter will be discussed later. Please let Mr. Li speak. Lin Ziasu stepped forward. I come to Zhen Heaven Pavilion today under the command of your majesty, intending to select a town-level squad to assist me in a mission, an extraordinary task summarized simply as pacify Jiangnan. Pacify Jiangnan. Lei Tianlan was shaken. The 50-plus people below, including the master of the military hall, Li Yafu, were all greatly shaken. Jiangnan has no military unrest. Under such conditions, it does not warrant pacifying Jiangnan. His words pacify Jiangnan points to only one fearsome direction, to pacify Jiangnan's sects. Indeed, Lin Ziasu provided further clarification. In today's world, sects in various regions commit offenses by martial means, bullying commoners, disrupting commerce, seizing lands, and even killing officials. The mighty imperial authority and the glorious legal system cannot allow sects to act recklessly. Therefore, I petition your majesty to go to Jiangnan, suppress all malignant elements, and slaughter any cultivator infringing by martial means. Those sects rebelling against the dynasty will be annihilated. With these words spoken, Lei Tianlan's eyes lit up intensely. The master of the military hall suddenly looked up. The 53 commanders below were all greatly shaken. They finally understood the intention behind deploying troops. It is a task that no one anticipated. It is to suppress the Jiangnan sects. The 81 sects of Jiangnan hold significant power. Even if the entire Zhen Heaven Pavilion's 8 halls are sent to battle, a true fight against them would likely result in merely an even split, facing Jiangnan with just one town-level squad under the military hall. Isn't this akin to striking a stone with an egg? What does your majesty truly intend? Are you aiming to eliminate Jiangnan sects, or one of Zhen Heaven Pavilion's squads? Upon entry, 27 town-level squads exuded murderous aura, but at just a mere mention, their spirits plummeted. No one dared meet Lin Ziasu's gaze. Lin Ziasu surveyed the entire scene. I dislike coercion when employing personnel and prefer volunteers willing to take initiative. Commanders, is there anyone willing to volunteer to serve the court? The crowd was as quiet as chickens. Lin Ziasu waited for a minute. The atmosphere was extremely tense, yet no one stepped forward. Lin Ziasu silently exhaled. Since no one volunteers, I will directly designate. Chapter 682-652, Madwoman's Military Training, Part 3. Everyone's hearts tightened. Their gazes absolutely dared not meet Lin Ziasu's. Because everyone was clever, they knew very well that if they were singled out, they would be cannon fodder, with no chance of survival. 3,000 town-level soldiers, going to Jiangnan to suppress 81,000-year-old or even 10,000-year-old sects. What a joke. Lin Ziasu raised a hand. "7th Squad, it's you." Hong Bin's entire body trembled suddenly. He lifted his gaze and saw the finger that made his heart quake. Lin Ziasu's finger pointed straight at him. "Sir," Hong Bin's lips were trembling. "What, you dare defy orders?" Lin Ziasu's face darkened. Hong Bin stood upright. "I dare not, sir. I only wish to inform you, sir, that the 7th Squad under my command has been compromised by the Vice Envoy, and has less than 3,000 warriors. Their combat strength is inferior to the other squads. I fear it will hinder your Majesty's grand plan." "No matter," Lin Ziasu said. "Better a crack troop of 2,000 than a weak army of 10,000. This is my path of using soldiers, your troops, forged by the Vice Envoy Quang Lang with iron and blood, surely will not disappoint me." "Damn!" At this moment, Hong Bin's mind was racing with 1,000 llamas roaring. "Again the Vice Envoy, Quang Lang, you dog. You must intend to kill this general." "Except for the 7th Squad, all other squads are dismissed," Lin Ziasu said. The commanders and vice envoys of the remaining 26 armies bow to the high stage, turn as one, and walk out again with the deadly steps of soldiers, leaving only the 7th Commander Hong Bin standing dazed on the spot. Watching his colleagues retreat like a flood, he felt as if the waves were crashing over him, leaving him to die on the sands. The generals retreated, but the shadow at the door remained. Lin Ziasu raised his gaze and saw an exceptionally tall figure. This was a female general, over 10 meters tall. Her waist as thick as an ancient tree, her feet easily covering 10 tiles, her chest, high and protruding like a hill, her face pitted and pockmarked. Each pit could roughly hold a dumpling. On her face, a half-iron mask covered her left face. Though this mask is only half-length, if it fell, it would unquestionably kill an adult. Lin Ziasu stared blankly at her. "Are you from the giant race?" Naming the 7th Squad to set out, "This lady has no objection, but I ask to agree to one condition." The female general's voice boomed throughout the hall. Lei Tianlin's gaze turned to Lin Ziasu. "Mr. Li, this is the Vice Envoy Quang Lang of the 7th Squad." "What condition?" Lin Ziasu asked. "In training my soldiers, no one is allowed to interfere. Please remember, sir, I mean anyone." Lin Ziasu smiled faintly, including what General Hong just mentioned, throwing all the soldiers into the reverse flow pond. "Precisely," Quang Lang said. "If you agree, sir, this lady would immediately." "Disagree," Lin Ziasu directly interrupted. Quang Lang's voice immediately stopped, coldly staring at him. "Training soldiers certainly should involve sweat, but there's also a method to it. What you're doing isn't training, it's pure madness," Lin Ziasu said. "The true way of training soldiers is about moderation, not excess." Quang Lang turned directly away. "Another damn pretty boy. This ant won't serve you anymore." "Insolence!" shouted the master of the military hall, Li Yafu. "Do you have no manners? Apologize to Mr. Li, immediately." Though Quang Lang feared nothing, when the master of the military hall shouted, she was a bit intimidated, turned back, clasped her hands together, and raised them as a gesture of apology. Lin Ziasu laughed. "Military folks, bold and straightforward they are. Verbal spats mean nothing, but you, lady, must understand 2 principles. First, this matter is not for you to bargain. You must accompany me on this journey, otherwise, you are defying orders." Quang Lang exhaled a breath to the sky, the hall ceiling over 10 meters high, as if a gust of wind arose. This gust of wind represented the vexation in her heart. Lin Ziasu said, "Secondly, your way of using soldiers is too narrow. You think by training soldiers relentlessly, you can achieve unparalleled combat power. Wrong. War is not about single combat, it is about teamwork. A team well used tactically will beat your military path 1,000 times over. Follow me, and I will show you what true martial path is." "Martial path, you understand," 4 words floated down from above. "Insolence?" The master of the military hall was furious again, almost wishing to pull over her mother and scold her 100 times. "What kind of illegitimate daughter is this, always causing me trouble?" Lin Ziasu raised a hand, stopping the master of the military hall. "Understand or not, one battle will reveal all. I give you both commanders 3 days to prepare. After 3 days, accompany me to Jiangnan." He turned and left. Quang Lang gazed upward at the very close hall ceiling, absolutely not looking at him. Hong Bin stood there disheartened. even forgot basic manners for a moment. The master of the military hall was furious internally, but luckily he understood decorum, quickly came over to apologize. Zhen Heaven Pavilion Master Lei Tianlin's eyes flickered, as if full of thoughts. Only when Lin Ziaosu bid him farewell did he awaken. Mr. Li, a mere town-level squad is far too distant from Mr. Li's goal. Would it not be better for the Zhen Heaven Pavilion to send several experts to accompany you on your journey? Qing Ying's eyes lit up. A strand of sound entered Lin Ziaosu's ear. Sir, you could ask him for the Heavenly Pavilion 4 Elders. The Heavenly Pavilion 4 Elders, they are masters of the realm of mastery, secluded for many years, unknown to outsiders. But Qing Ying knew, her knowledge not from the Heart Pavilion but learned from the mouth of her deceased father. Chapter 683-652, Madwoman's Military Training Part 4. However, Lin Ziaosu shook his head. Your Majesty's decree is clear, it's meant to be a town-level force. Mr. Lei's good intentions to increase the strength are against the decree of your Majesty. Thank you for your kind thought, but there is no need to dispatch additional experts. Lei Tianlin furrowed his brow. Qing Ying's heart was also in chaos. Farewell. Farewell. Lin Ziaosu reached out, grabbed Qing Ying and rose into the air, returning to his Li mansion. Upon his return, he was no longer discreet. Lin Ziaosu and Qing Ying flew straight across the sky and landed in front of the gauze pavilion. Qing Ying was one step ahead, climbed onto the pavilion, extended her hand, picked up the teapot, and infused it with true qi, causing the water inside to sizzle. This is probably the greatest benefit of having cultivation for a trusted aide. She could quickly brew tea. Yet her thoughts were clearly not on tea brewing. Holding the teapot, she lifted her gaze. The performance of the 27 teams at Zhen Heaven Pavilion is evident to you, sir. Don't be too disappointed. The main issue is that the goal you set leaves everyone hopeless. How can I not be disappointed? Lin Ziaosu sat on the chair, his body slightly reclining. Zhen Heaven Pavilion, where the remnants of the ancestors, dragon riders, still exist, even it is so weak, how can one expect others to be strong? Strength and weakness vary with time and circumstance. It is different depending on the situation. You wish to station troops in Jiangnan, but a town-level team would be just sending them to their death. Facing certain death, who would willingly march towards it? Lin Ziaosu sighed lightly, perhaps it's true. Soldiers facing death is justified in his world, but it does not mean this is true everywhere. This world is not that world. This world lacks a true military soul, lacks belief. People are afraid to die. The troops of Zhen Heaven Pavilion, who appear boldly and confidently, when faced with ordinary people, they are fearless iron-blooded soldiers. But faced with certain death, they are timid like turtles. The ironclad military spirit of soldiers should fight until death. He longed to see is not here. Not even in the so-called last dragon rider of Zhen Heaven Pavilion. Sir, I really don't understand. Why did your Majesty only dispatch a town-level force? Doesn't he know that merely a town-level team going to Jiangnan would be nothing but souls lost in Jiangnan? Qing Ying said, I have a terrible guess, perhaps. Her words trailed off. But she believes he understands. The land of Jiangnan, the 81 sects. Every sect is a legacy of thousands or even tens of thousands of years, of profound depth. Such powerful forces, even if all 8 halls of Zhen Heaven Pavilion were mobilized, may not be completely conquered, let alone a mere town-level team. Your Majesty suddenly ordered him to lead such a frail force to Jiangnan. As his trusted aide, as his closest partner on this front, she felt obligated to warn him, to alert him that there might be some strategy of your Majesty's, like using 3,000 lives to change the court's attitude towards Jiangnan. From her standpoint, such a view is already significant enough. But Lin Ziaosu's words shattered her speculations. Lin Ziaosu glanced at her. Don't guess wildly. A town-level team is what I personally requested from His Majesty, not His Majesty's intention. So are you? Qing Ying was truly astonished. The world's sects are not just 81. Dahuang country alone has more than 800 sects, and Dahuang is only one country in the western regions. In the entire western regions, there are over 80 nations, while the world still has 5 domains and 3 ruins. We don't have much time to linger. I need to achieve my goal with the shortest time and the most shocking effect. Sir, your ultimate goal. Qing Ying's voice suddenly came to a halt. Her gaze lifted, staring at the faint misty rain in the sky. Lin Ziaosu also raised his gaze. In the sky above, golden light converged, the rain curtain opening, revealing a flying shuttle. Chapter 684-653, Tiandu Saintes, Immortal Mirror Technique. The flying shuttle took the shape of a golden dragon, soaring through the void, resembling a golden dragon gliding down. On the boat were two women, the one in front dressed in the royal attire of a princess from this dynasty, and the one behind dressed as a maid. "Oh no," Qing Ying stood up tall. "My lord, this woman is the sister of the former crown Prince Hong Ding, born of the same mother, and also Shansheng Princess, one of the 12 saintesses of the heavenly capital. She must harbor resentment towards you because of the crown prince's death." Lin Ziasu used the heavenly Tao wisdom eye to penetrate the sky, locking onto this woman. Simultaneously, in his consciousness, he flipped through this woman's related information. The twin sister of Crown Prince Hong Ding, her nature is extremely wild. The dynasty's laws could hardly restrain her. By chance, she possesses extraordinary talent and was selected by Heavenly Capital, continuing her arrogant and wild path in the sect, becoming one of the 12 saintesses. She is a fierce woman recognized by both imperial authority and the sect. In terms of royal power, she is the legitimate daughter of the current empress. In terms of the sect, behind her as a saintess stands the Heavenly Capital. What place is the Heavenly Capital? Aside from Kangyuan, it ranks as the foremost among the three sects. Kangyuan hardly appears, controlling almost all the sects worldwide. Heavenly Capital holds the upper hand, and she, as a saintess, holds a significant position within it. It's rumored that throughout her life, there are only 3 people who, when they speak, she listens somewhat to: Your Majesty, the Empress, and the late Crown Prince Hong Ding. Hong Ding committed suicide in fear of punishment in heavenly prison, and this woman returned to the capital amidst the misty rain, seemingly intent on crushing his skull with one step. What does this imply? It implies that she has already grasped the insider information, knowing the force behind her brother's death as Lin Ziasu. "Oh no," Li Chengyan. These pieces of information flooded Lin Ziaosu's brain instantly, but his expression remained unchanged, even raising a teacup. Whoosh! The strong wind rose and rain mist flew. Shansheng Princess stepped outside the gauze pavilion, and the flying boat beneath her feet suddenly shrunk, turning into a silver shuttle that swooshed past Lin Ziaosu's head, elegantly nestling in her hair, transforming into a dragon-shaped white jade hairpin. The posture was exceptionally impressive. Unfortunately, the 2 people in front showed no hint of admiration, and Qing Ying even pressed her hand on the sword hilt, staring coldly at her. Even more infuriating was the man sitting in the pavilion, gently blowing at the hot steam rising from his teacup, looking calmly at her with a disdainful gaze. "How dare you, Li Chengyan, not kneel before the princess, her highness?" the maid behind her shouted angrily. Lin Ziaosu took a sip of tea and spoke calmly. "The royal etiquette is ultimately a worldly ritual, and since the lady has descended from the sky, clearly not intending to use worldly manners, why should I treat her with worldly manners?" This statement was both cultured and refined. Yet it was also sharp and forthright. The implication was clear and straightforward. If you had come as a princess, seeking a formal meeting, I would naturally have greeted you with the courtesy for a princess, but are you following the princess route? You descended from the sky, intruding upon a government official's residence. What kind of princess protocol is that? If you don't treat yourself as a princess, why should others treat you as one? Indeed, lawless and deserving of punishment. Shansheng Princess's eyes flashed with a cold light as she slapped out with her palm. With this palm strike, the flowers and leaves in the garden behind her simultaneously flew up. Above the sky, the rain mist was drawn in. A simple palm strike stirred the heavens and earth. Imperial Sister Du. From the neighboring Prince Dingbei mansion, a figure in yellow clothes broke through the air, undoubtedly the 7th prince. However, he was a bit far. The 7th prince had the intention to rescue, but even with the power of the king's seal activated, moving like electricity, it was too late. Qing Ying crossed over, intending to shield Lin Ziaosu, but just as she took a step forward, a stormy wind and rain pounded her face, causing Qing Ying to let out a muffled grunt, as if she had been heavily struck. Flying far out, the raging storm directly targeted Lin Ziaosu, more powerful than its initial emergence by tenfold. Seeing as this pavilion seemed destined to be shredded in the storm. Seeing Lin Ziaosu about to be battered with broken bones by her palm strike. Suddenly, the fierce storm and rain changed right before reaching Lin Ziasu. This changed like misty rain Jiangnan. Within the misty rain Jiangnan, his fingers flicked lightly, sending a drop of water flying from the teacup. As the fierce storm and rain collided with the drop of water, as if entering another time and space. The droplet spiraled, shooting toward her palm. Shensheng Princess's face darkened, and her palm suddenly clenched. She grasped the droplet. Centered on her palm, a thunderous, invisible air current blasted out, swirling skyward like an invisible giant spear piercing the rainy fog sky. With a swoosh, the blazing golden light flourished as the seventh prince, wielding the king's seal, finally arrived, being stunned by the spectacle before him. From the neighboring Prince Dingbei mansion on top of a pavilion, Fu Feng's eyes focused sharply, and his expression turned peculiar. Beside her was another woman dressed as a maid, with a plain appearance. At that moment this woman was very excited. Fantastic, fantastic, the imperial princess strikes him dead, and it's practically divine intervention. Her voice via secret transmission reached Fu Feng's ears, clear and delightful, full of vitality. As she was the Kinkyu seventh princess, her mind was filled with thoughts of killing the uncle Li next door, to make room for her brother Su, having tried to persuade her elder sister countless times. But her sister continued with the Fox clan's usual romantic entanglement, refusing to get rid of her lover's capable assistant, making the seventh princess feel increasingly hopeless. And here came an imperial princess, intending to kill him, which was delightful. Imperial princess, you're amazing. Imperial princess is superb. The imperial princess kills him. He wouldn't dare resist, and surely no one would dare settle any account afterward. Fu Feng sighed gently. Your idea is beautiful, but this princess in the short run isn't going to kill him. Chapter 685-653, Tiandu Saintess Immortal Mirror Technique, Part 2. The seventh princess's heart skipped a beat. This princess is from the heavenly capital, isn't she? Indeed, the Shanling Saintess from the heavenly capital, Fu Feng said. This woman claims she can withstand the Enlightenment rules, however. That water droplet from my soon-to-be brother-in-law just now is quite significant. Is he really not known for his combat prowess, Li Chengyan? The latter part of the sentence was spoken softly, almost a murmur. Courting death, the figure of Princess Shensheng suddenly intensified. Her regal princess attire fluttered away, revealing the silver armor underneath. This set of armor appeared amidst the rain and fog. Her surroundings seemed to split time and space. Behind her seemed like a galaxy of stars. Qing Ying had just returned from afar, and upon seeing this, her expression changed dramatically. The heavenly capital's heavenly battle technique. Be careful, Mr. Li. Whoosh! A figure stepped forward, blocking Princess Shensheng. It was the seventh prince. The seventh prince's face was extremely somber. Ninth sister, what are you doing? His 8 words were extraordinarily serious. Seventh brother, move aside from me, Princess Shensheng said coldly. This treacherous minister cost my brother his life. How can I forgive him? Nonsense, the seventh prince said sternly. The third prince was captured at the heavenly prison by the emperor's edict and committed suicide in fear of punishment. What does Mr. Li have to do with this? Without this villain's influence would the emperor have been confused momentarily, Princess Shensheng replied. Today I must kill this traitor. No one will stop me. Presumptuous, the seventh prince shouted angrily. The emperor is wise and mighty. Who among the ministers can deceive him? The third prince's crimes are grave and irrefutable. Do you intend to overturn the verdict for this rebellious traitor? Are you not concerned about causing trouble for your empress mother? You insolent fool, be silent. His words were righteous and just. The words were unyielding. The words carried the battlefield might of the seventh prince, who had waged war for 10 years. And it hit a vital point for the arrogant princess. That point was her mother. The seventh prince clearly told her, you rely on your status as an imperial princess, you rely on being the Tiandu Saintess. Even if the dynasty falls, you still have a retreat, as you can enter the heavenly capital as the Saintess. But have you not thought that you also have a mother? Because of the matter of the former crown prince, the emperor is already quite displeased with the empress. If you, as a princess, continue to stir up trouble, do you think the emperor wouldn't dare to depose your mother? This wake-up call was effective. Princess Shensheng's silver battle clothes gradually lost their brilliance, and her face became slightly pale. Does your highness understand now? Lin Ziasu smiled slightly. Then you may sit down and have a cup of tea." The inner rage of Princess Shensheng surged once more. This princess specifically sought trouble with you, ultimately resulting in such a severe conflict even with my own brother, yet you leisurely sip tea beside me as if nothing happened. Can such arrogance be excused? With a surge of anger, her entire battle attire began to emit subtle flashes once more. The seventh prince directly turned and approached Lin Zaiasu. "Mr. Li, my ninth sister is young and naive. I apologize on her behalf." "How dare I?" Lin Zaiasu replied. "Your Highness, this is freshly brewed new tea. Please have a taste." He personally held the teapot and poured a cup for the seventh prince. The seventh prince accepted it, took a sip and said, "Good tea." The two seemed to have forgotten all about the princess outside the pavilion. Only Qing Ying observed coldly. In her anticipation, the princess should have soared and left this awkward place. However, to her surprise, Princess Shansheng stepped into the red pavilion and took a seat on the other side. Lin Zaiasu smiled. "Qing Ying, pour a cup of tea for the princess." Qing Ying quickly stepped forward, offering a cup of tea. Princess Shensheng lifted the teacup, quietly staring inside. Suddenly, she raised her head slowly. Her face at some unknown time had shed its previous rage, becoming eerily calm. "Mr. Li," Princess Shensheng said softly, "do you rely on the Emperor's protection, thinking I can't capture you? Is that it?" The seventh prince's expression darkened again. Wasn't this enough? However, the question was asked calmly. She showed no sign of fury. The seventh prince could only frown. Lin Zaiasu smiled. "My reply might anger your highness, yet this is indeed the truth. The emperor is wise and mighty, unlikely allowing the princess to act out and disrupt the dynastic order. If I privately killed you, perhaps it would indeed disrupt the dynastic order," Princess Shensheng said coldly. "But if the emperor decrees the extermination of your clan, does it count as disrupting the dynastic order?" "That certainly wouldn't count," Lin Zaiasu said nonchalantly. "Unfortunately, your highness lacks the ability to prompt the emperor to issue such a decree." Presumptuous, the nearby maid couldn't help but shout in anger. Yet no one paid attention to her. Even Qing Ying ignored her. Lin Zaiasu didn't even glance at her. Princess Shansheng said, "Do you know where I come from?" "The heavenly capital," Lin Zaiasu replied. "Are you aware of a magic in the heavenly capital called immortal mirror technique?" "Unaware, why do you ask?" "Why do you ask? Ha ha ha," Princess Shensheng laughed skyward. "The immortal mirror technique tears apart all worldly illusions. Li Chengyan, you are not Li Chengyan. This is your true face." Her delicate palm struck. The tea in the cup spiraled into the air, forming a mirror in the void. Within the mirror was the gauze pavilion. Inside the gauze pavilion were 5 people. The seventh prince, her maid, Qing Ying. Apart from them, there was one more person, sitting where Lin Zaiasu was, dressed identically, yet the face was completely different, turning into a handsome young man. Lin Zaiasu stared at the reflection of himself in the mirror. His face changed. His method of transformation was broken. The him in the mirror was his true appearance. Chapter 686-653, Tiandu Saintes Immortal Mirror Technique, Part 3. The heavenly capital immortal mirror technique can surprisingly tear apart his disguise and reveal his true identity. This is heavenly capital. This is the foundation of the foremost of the 3 sects. Met at once, it exposed his greatest secret. Qing Ying stared at the mirror, completely incredulous. He is not Li Chengyan. All this time, a question had been circling in her mind. Why did her lord seem unrecognizable once he entered the officialdom? It was as if he had completely become another person. In the past, she could only explain it as Mr. Li keeping a low profile and biding his time while being in the Heart Pavilion. Yet today, under the miracle technique of heavenly capital, her lord had actually become another person. He was not merely like another person, he truly was a different person. Her heart was in a state of panic, her mind blank. Only one thought remained: he is finished. Disguising his identity to deceive for an official position, what is this called? This is treason. This is treating your majesty like a monkey. As long as this result is reported to your majesty, he would indeed be executed with the extermination of 9 clans. This is Princess Shensheng's means. You, relying on the protection of your majesty, are very arrogant. I, the princess, may not be able to kill you openly, so I will uncover your disguise and let my father personally execute you and your 9 clans. The seventh prince was immensely shaken and suddenly stood up. He had galloped through the battlefield for 10 solid years and wandered through Beijing for 3 full years. He was accustomed to the warmth and coldness of human relations and had also begun to understand how unpredictable the world and its affairs could be. However, he could never have imagined that this Mr. Li, whom he increasingly relied upon, was actually an impostor. What to do now? His mind also went blank. Princess Shansheng slowly bent. Since you have infiltrated the officialdom, you should know the iron law of the dynasty. Deceiving the emperor to gain an official rank and conspiring to stir up the court. You know your crime. Lin Ziaosu slowly raised his head. The heavenly capital immortal mirror technique is indeed extraordinary. My transformation technique has been invincible everywhere, yet it cannot escape the heavenly capital immortal mirror technique. I am impressed. As soon as the voice fell, his face wriggled, and right under everyone's eyes, it quickly changed. Soon, a face more handsome than Li Chengnian's appeared before everyone. Sword-shaped eyebrows and starry eyes, handsomeness with an air of elegance, liveliness with a hint of calm. In the attic of the neighboring Prince Mansion, Fu Feng had not breathed for a long time. To be exact, she hadn't breathed since she heard Princess Shensheng mention the immortal realm technique, her whole body like a sculpture. Beside her, the seventh princess's wide eyes blinked blankly, and her mouth was slightly open. What? Imposter? How is this possible? At this angle, she couldn't see the image in the immortal mirror and could only guess wildly. But no matter how wildly she guessed, she couldn't figure out the answer. Suddenly, Lin Ziaosu revealed himself on his own side. Seeing this image, the seventh princess suddenly screamed. The scream was abrupt, but Fu Feng reacted extremely fast. With a slight turn of her hand, not a sound wave leaked out. The seventh princess stretched out her hand abruptly and clutched her shoulder. Elder sister, Su, brother Su. What? He is brother Su. He is my brother Su. The seventh princess clutched her shoulder and shook her desperately. Fu Feng was completely stunned. This person is not Li Chengnian. He, in fact, is the man that the seventh sister fled 10,000 miles to marry, the one called brother Su. My goodness, who wrote this script? In the gauze pavilion, Princess Shensheng laughed extremely proudly. No denial. I, traveling the world, am the most pragmatic. If I know struggling is ineffective, I absolutely wouldn't bother to struggle, Lin Ziaosu said. With these 2 words, the matter was conclusively defined. He is disguised as Li Chengnian. His surname is not Li but Su. Who exactly is this culprit? Princess Shensheng's laughter stopped. Ancient sect Su Lin. Describe the process of disguising as Li Chengnian one by one, and you may keep your whole corpse. Princess Shensheng's words were slow and full of pressure, perhaps reflecting the legit demeanor of a true royal princess. However, Lin Ziaosu laughed, and his smile was exceptionally bright and pure. Qing Ying looked at the smile, her heart pounding fast. Why could he still smile? This was definitely not the expression of someone who's out of cards and facing doom. Lin Ziaosu smiled and said, Keep my whole corpse. Sorry, your highness, your abacus still falls short. You still can't kill me. Ha! Princess Shensheng laughed twice dryly, but her eyes lacked the slightest trace of a smile, only endless coldness. When the conspiracy has been utterly exposed, do you still hope your father will pardon you? Of course he will pardon me, Lin Ziaosu said. The seventh prince exchanged glances with Qing Ying at this moment, with their eyes containing such complexity that neither could read the other. Princess Shensheng was not complex. She suddenly raised her right hand. For those who refuse to cry until they see the coffin, my usual disposition is to let them see the coffin directly. At the flick of her hand, a delicate pendant-shaped seal brightened in her palm. This seal was her princess seal. A princess, too, has a seal. Different in shape from the prince seal, but with the same function, it can connect directly to her father. The seventh prince took a step forward, seemingly wanting to intercept, but was a step too late. The princess seal had already been activated, and a dragon-shaped dot in the air had formed, slowly drawing open to reveal the image of the father sitting in the study. The seventh prince's heart seized. This person is undoubtedly an impostor. However, when exactly did this person begin the impersonation? He didn't know. If, during the time the seventh prince went to the Heart Pavilion, the Li Chengnian he saw was him, then the encounters and feelings they fostered had nothing to do with Li Chengnian. They had originally been interactions with Su Lin. Should he be sentenced to death because of his false identity? Chapter 687, Chapter 653, Tiendu Saintess's Immortal Mirror Technique, Part 4. Should it be? For a moment, his heart was completely in chaos. He didn't want to present this grand deception case to his father's desk under such unprepared circumstances, but the wheels of fate had already started, and he couldn't stop it. Your Majesty's majestic face was projected from the deep palace into the gauze pavilion. Suddenly, there was surprise on Your Majesty's face. "Father," Princess Shensheng exclaimed, "your child has verified a shocking case for you. The fourth-rank inspection envoy, Li Chengyan, whom you just appointed, is an impostor. This thief committed the crime of deceiving the sovereign and should have his 9 clans exterminated." Her finger pointed directly at Lin Zaiasu. Your Majesty's eyebrows jumped fiercely, and his gaze turned to the young man in the fourth-rank official uniform beside him. His heart, too, suddenly became chaotic. Li Chengyan is actually an impostor. What a mockery is this? What a jest is this? What kind of lawlessness is this? This vile scoundrel deserves death. Once this matter spreads, wouldn't it become the greatest scandal in officialdom? As for me, this emperor, I would be mocked by the world for 100 years. Such great importance placed on an official, climbing 8 levels in 3 days. Only to be a fake in the end. Your Majesty's heart churned with anger and blood. Lin Zaiasu bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, I Su Lin was appointed by Your Majesty to infiltrate the Heart Pavilion, impersonating Li Chengyan to eradicate the toxic scourge within. Although Your Majesty's foresight was well-intentioned, unfortunately, people's calculations fell short of the heavens, and the princess saw through my true identity. I'm incompetent and unable to hide under the immortal mirror technique, asking for Your Majesty's punishment." The whole audience was taken aback simultaneously. Appointed by Your Majesty. He was appointed by Your Majesty to impersonate Li Chengyan. That seems to be the most reasonable explanation. The Heart Pavilion, a blight that has troubled the country and colluded with the court, has long been a toxin in Beijing. How could Your Majesty be unaware, sending capable personnel to infiltrate the Heart Pavilion, completely reasonable? In the end, this undercover agent indeed dismantled the Heart Pavilion, allowing the dynasty to progress step by step on the right path. One wonders how this young man could have such a mind. It makes sense only if appointed by Your Majesty. Your Majesty was stunned for a while. Time seemed completely still. Finally, Your Majesty took a deep breath. "Su Aking, by imperial decree, infiltrate the Heart Pavilion. Upon success, you could have restored your true identity. From now on, Su Aking, handle affairs with your true face." Lin Zaiasu bowed deeply. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Your Majesty said, "I have just named your residence Su Mansion, and I bestow it upon you. Thank you again for Your Majesty's great grace." Your Majesty's gaze slowly shifted to Princess Shensheng. Poor Princess Shensheng was completely dumbfounded, mouth agape, maintaining the most unprincess-like image of her life. Suddenly feeling her father's gaze, Princess Shensheng knelt down with a thud. "Father, your child did not know." Your Majesty's face darkened. "As a princess of the royal family, you should ease your father's worries, not create trouble for him. Do you understand?" "Your child understands. Your child is guilty," Princess Shensheng desperately kowtowed. "Fortunately, this time was a reckless mistake that did not lead to a major error. I will forgive you once, but if you ruin your father's great affairs again, I will dethrone your mother. Incapable of achieving success, only adept at ruining things." The judgment of incapable of achieving success, only adept at ruining things, weighed heavily like a mountain. Princess Shensheng's back was drenched in cold sweat. Your Majesty's imperial seal projection disappeared. Princess Shensheng slowly stood up from the ground, feeling dizzy for a while. As she moved her foot, a flying shuttle appeared. Stepping onto the shuttle, she left without looking back. Lin Zaiasu bowed to bid farewell to Your Majesty, slowly turned around, and met 2 pairs of puzzled eyes. The 7th Prince and Qing Ying. The 2 people closest to him since he stepped into Desert City. "Mr. Su," the 7th Prince gently exhaled, "the 9th Princess just asked a question that you didn't answer. If I were to ask it again, would you be willing to respond?" "Which question is Your Highness referring to?" Lin Zaiasu's voice had also changed, now clear with a scholarly air. "When exactly did you transform into Li Chengyan?" This was the question the 7th Prince was concerned about. Qing Ying was even more concerned, because it pertains to the positioning of this Mr. Su in their minds. Interactions between people, friendships formed, are all based on significant matters. They needed to confirm whether the person handling this major matter was him or the original Li Chengnian. Chapter 688. Chapter 654. The seventh princess enters the residence. Lin Ziasu smiled. This matter has an interesting beginning. He laid bare the details of Kinkyu's marriage proposal on that day. Most of what he said was true. Both he and Li Chengnian were genuinely proposing marriage. This fact was undeniable and could be verified easily. At that time he was himself, and Li Chengnian was Li Chengnian. Although the Kinkyu Elder Council prioritized the greater good, ignoring the conduct during the marriage proposal, they forcefully pushed forward the marriage alliance between Kinkyu and Li Chengnian. In essence, Li Chengnian won the marriage alliance. But this young fellow had a petty heart and still harbored hatred for Su Lin, causing him to lose face, planning to kill Su Lin once he reached Kinkyu. And indeed, he attempted to do so. However, Su Lin's strength was beyond his imagination. Effortlessly, he executed the entire team of 5. Su Lin and his senior sister disguised themselves as Li Chengnian and the attendant Yan, returned to the Heart Pavilion, and initiated the grand plan long deployed by Your Majesty. Therefore, Su Lin's disguise as Li Chengnian had a definitive starting point, which was on the road when Li Chengnian returned to Beijing after proposing. The timing was very clear. Everything was intertwined seamlessly. The seventh prince exhaled deeply. So, it was you, not Li Chengnian, who stopped me in the Heart Pavilion that day and warned me about the heavenly prisoner exchange. Naturally, if it had been Li Chengnian sitting in the Heart Pavilion at that time, he certainly wouldn't have warned your highness. The seventh prince sighed deeply. I actually had suspicions, really, I did have suspicions. I wondered why the Zih Li family, which had always flattered my third prince brother, would suddenly turn. Li Chengnian was known for his poetic wisdom, but he was definitely not at the level of raising clouds with one hand and bringing rain with another. Why did he suddenly become so miraculous? As it turns out, the answer to all mysteries lies here. You were never him. Lin Ziasu smiled slightly. Your highness is mistaken. It's not me who is strong, but your majesty. It's your majesty who's strong. The seventh prince felt clarity like snow in his heart. For 10 years the emperor had remained dormant. Though none dared to say it, everyone had concluded inwardly that the emperor had become muddled. However, how could a ruler be so simple? For 10 years he remained dormant, giving the illusion of not handling affairs, but secretly observing behind the scenes. The third prince thought he had control of the situation, but little did he know, his every move was under the emperor's scrutiny. The emperor merely watched him perform quietly, and when the time was ripe, he deposed him directly. This was indeed the emperor. This was the ruler like the elusive divine dragon. In that moment, the seventh prince felt like laughing, felt like crying, and felt a bit of fear. Laughing at worldly matters, crying at the emperor's scheming against his own son, and fearing for himself. Mr. Su, I shall return to the mansion first. The voice fell, and using the king's seal as proof, the seventh prince returned to the prince's mansion. Lin Ziasu raised his gaze, watching his silhouette disappear, clearly sensing that the silhouette carried a trace of solitude. His gaze returned, resting upon Qing Ying. Qing Ying, now it should be your turn, Lin Ziasu said. Back then, without knowing that I wasn't Li Chengnian, you pledged allegiance to me. Now you can choose again. Qing Ying said, Sir, I pledged allegiance to you for one reason only, and that is to destroy the Heart Pavilion and avenge my father. Whoever accomplishes this task will earn my allegiance. And it has nothing to do with your 2 years of rapport with him. Qing Ying gave a faint smile. 2 years of superior subordinate relations. All he made me do were conscience-violating tasks. I never considered it a rapport. Not to hide from you, sir, I have always been trying to convince myself with the phrase, those who achieve great things do not bother with trifles. But today, with you revealing your true identity, not being that man of sin, there is no need for excuses. It feels like the heavens have eyes and have treated Qing Ying kindly. Lin Ziasu laughed. It seems that my earth-shattering revelation did not cause much of a stir. Indeed, when Princess Shensheng unveiled your true identity earlier, I felt as if the heavenly capital had collapsed. Thankfully, you had your majesty standing behind you, and he already knew everything. Qing Ying exhaled deeply, recalling the earlier events with some lingering fear. Lin Ziasu calmly watched her, a whisper sneaking into her ears. Do you really think this was arranged by your majesty? Qing Ying inhaled halfway, suddenly stopping, and looked at him with an incredulous gaze. What if I told you, Your Majesty was more surprised than you were earlier. Would you feel as if the heavenly capital had collapsed again? Lin Xiaosu's voice stealthily entered her ears once more. Qing Ying's entire body stiffened, a whisper returning. This matter wasn't arranged by your Majesty after all. Before this, I have never met with your Majesty, and he knew nothing about this whole affair. But he admitted it just now. He admitted it because acknowledging it is the only step I offered him. Step? Yes, a step, the only step. Lin Xiaosu smiled faintly. If he didn't admit, he would become the laughingstock of an emperor. His prestige, the court's face would all vanish, and most importantly, if he didn't admit, he would have to kill me. At this point, he absolutely loathes to kill me because I bear the massive responsibility of reorganizing the sect, and killing me would make what he desires to achieve an unreachable illusion. Qing Ying's mind swirled into a 10th-level tornado. And admitting this matter on a verbal concession benefits him greatly. Lin Xiaosu said, there would be no scandal in the court, only boundless praise, ministers extolling His Majesty, citizens lauding His Majesty's vision and foresight. The bad impression formed over his 10 years of dormancy would be instantly erased. In addition, he gains a capable lieutenant who can accomplish tasks for him. Chapter 689, Chapter 654, The Seventh Princess Enters the Residence, Part 2. So, you bet he'll admit it grudgingly. Qing Ying felt as if her heart was overturned with mixed emotions and couldn't quite comprehend how she felt. As an emperor, if he can't even handle such a matter, then he simply can't control a vast empire. This is what it means to grasp the situation. Qing Ying took a deep breath. Sir, you're playing with fire. Lin Xiaosu sighed silently. What's wrong with me playing something else? Play with a phone, play with Rulan, play with Yixing, play with Huya, aren't those good options? Who would willingly travel between two worlds just to play with fire? Isn't it all due to being forced? Qing Ying pondered for a long while. Sir, you may have temporarily passed this hurdle, but have you considered that his resentment towards you will surge, and when you've exhausted your usefulness, he'll definitely use the most determined means to kill you? Lin Xiaosu laughed. Exhaust my usefulness and then get rid of me like a donkey that carried a millstone. The theory is, of course, correct, but do you think he'll ever see a day when all troubles are resolved? Qing Ying thought for a long time, slowly shaking her head. A dynasty will always have troubles. As long as his usefulness remains, it's not considered exhausted. With his capabilities in her eyes, he truly stands above all ministers, and for a while, perhaps he might really make your Majesty unable to do without him. Qing Ying gently shook her head to shake off these thoughts, asking a very pointed question. Sir, this matter must be incredibly confidential. You haven't even told the seventh prince. Why tell me? Because for a long period upcoming, you will be the closest person by my side. Lin Xiaosu said, I need you to do some things for me, but I don't want you to have unrealistic fantasies about your Majesty, or else things will go awry. Qing Ying truly admired him. This is the gentleman. Everything has its rules. Who should be in the know, who shouldn't be, who to conceal from, who to half conceal from, who to fully conceal from, all have rules. What does the sir need to be done? Feel free to instruct, Qing Ying said. For my upcoming trip to Jiangnan, you're not to participate. You go to Lanzhou and do a thorough investigation for me, Lin Xiaosu said. After a round of instructions, Qing Ying stood straight. Your orders, Qing Ying will accomplish at all costs. No, don't accomplish at all costs. I don't wish for anyone to risk their life for me. My greatest hope is that when the sun rises, the dew is still on the branches and the flowers are still blooming beautifully. Qing Ying was stunned. When the sun rises, the dew is still on the branches and the flowers are still blooming beautifully. It's not just poetry, it surpasses poetry. Sir, you once recited 2 lines of poetry. Life fades over the years like gauze, who now rides through Beijing as a guest. Is there more? Yes, there is. It's probably just my personal outlook. Lin Xiaosu smiled lightly. When you return from Lanzhou and I return from Jiangnan, I'll tell you this outlook. Sir, I'm going. You take care. Qing Ying bowed deeply, her figure flickered and she disappeared. Lin Xiaosu quietly watched the direction where she disappeared. His eyes seemed deep in thought. Why did he only tell Qing Ying about this most confidential matter? Qing Ying asked him and he answered. The answer was thorough, yet commonplace. Qing Ying was convinced. But is this the final answer? No, not entirely. He indeed needed to break Qing Ying's fantasies about your Majesty, to prevent this personal follower's thoughts from warping. More importantly, he also needed to dissolve Qing Ying's attachment to your majesty. If she accepted the notion that the entire matter was orchestrated by your majesty, she would naturally remember the favor of eliminating Heart Pavilion and avenging her father, attributing it to your majesty. Qing Ying is a person clear about her feelings, and she has a gratitude complex. If she harbors gratitude toward your majesty, it becomes very dangerous, because she is someone by his side. In this damned world, it is too hard to find a loyal subordinate, and even harder to find a loyal one who can accomplish matters. Qing Ying is of great use to him. How could she be swayed by others? So he explicitly told her, avenging your father has nothing to do with your majesty. It's my doing. You need not be grateful to your majesty. This is why Lin Ziasu laid everything bare for Qing Ying. Qing Ying also understood, and her parting words to accomplish with life was a renewed pledge of allegiance. The rain had stopped. The mist in the sky had dissipated. The sun seemed to leap through the crack in the clouds, showing the afterglow as dusk approached. Hunger and Kinger hurried over. Upon reaching the edge of the gauze pavilion, seeing the person inside, the two girls were stunned. Who's this? Wearing Sir's clothes, sitting in the chair Sir usually sits in. Hunger Kinger, come over, Lin Ziasu beckoned. I'll show you a face-changing trick. Lin Ziasu's face turned around. He first changed back to the face of Li Chengyan, then to his current face in front of the two girls. The tray in Kinger's hand clattered. Hunger's mouth half opened, her eyes darting. Tell the butler your family head is not named Li Chengyan, but Su Lin. A quarter of an hour later, the butler came out of the red pavilion of Lin Ziasu, gathered everyone, and reintroduced the family head. As everyone was still in shock, the gate attendant from the imperial palace came. Lin Ziasu straightened his robes and went to greet with his original appearance, unfamiliar face with familiar procedure. The butler received the plaque personally bestowed by your majesty reading, Su Mansion, instructing servants to solemnly hang it above the door. This Li Mansion, which had just gained some reputation in Beijing, thus magnificently transformed into Su Mansion. Lin Ziasu returned satisfyingly to the gauze pavilion. Chapter 690, Chapter 654, The Seventh Princess Enters the Residence. Hunger brought the tea. Lin Ziasu gazed at her eyes, which hadn't completely stopped darting around, and posed a soul-searching question. Hunger, tell me honestly, am I more handsome than Li Chengyan? Hunger bowed. Young master's true appearance, graceful and handsome, leading all of Beijing, the entire world. Ahum, keep it in check, keep it in check. Don't make such sweeping statements. Hunger burst into laughter. The atmosphere relaxed. Nightfall gradually descended. After having dinner, Lin Ziasu returned to his bedroom. Once the door was shut, he sat by the window. Going to Jiangnan was in 2 days. He planned to use this time for some preparations. The most crucial preparation was information gathering. Using the subdivine secret technique, he read Li Chengyan's memories. With the transformation technique, he infiltrated the Heart Pavilion's library, sweeping away the most important batch of information. He already knew the general situation of the major sects in Jiangnan. And yesterday, he had an unexpected surprise. He obtained Xu Wenkong's primordial spirit. Xu Wenkong was an elder of the mental path. Note, it's not the Heart Pavilion, but the mental path. What is the mental path? 1 abyss, 3 sects, 6 paths, 9 gates. The mental path is one of the 9 gates. In the 5 domains and 3 ruins, the number of sects reached tens of thousands, with the 19 sects at the pinnacle of power. The knowledge recorded within the elder's primordial spirit, how terrifying is that? Though much of the memory was obliterated during the refinement process, the remaining fragments were still a substantial gain for Lin Ziasu. This information settled into his sea of consciousness, melding with the enhanced version of the 3-character bone book, human character scroll, in categorizing all this data, as if a database appeared out of thin air in his mind, ready to add, integrate, and retrieve data at any time. This was the biggest harvest brought by refining the primordial spirit. There was also another gain, obtained during the refinement of Xu Wenkong's last fragment of primordial spirit. As soon as this fragment was refined, the 2 primordial spirits within Lin Ziasu's body suddenly stood up and looked at each other. These 2 primordial spirits, stripped of their former vague features, presented clear, clean humanoid forms. Every part of them reflected Lin Ziyasu's essence. What does this imply? It implies that his primordial spirit truly belongs to him now. Lin Ziyasu was full of emotions. All the leaders of Kun Kang, despite their lifelong efforts, never managed to refine a primordial spirit. Even Hua Maioi, who was hailed as an immortal upon entering Kun Kang, only captured a trace of primordial spirit, whereas his primordial spirit was fully formed. What kind of aid does having a formed primordial spirit offer him? If he were to break through into the enlightenment realm now, he would directly skip body enlightenment and step right into the enlightenment of God. Because transitioning from body enlightenment to enlightenment of God is marked by the formation of the primordial spirit. Yet he, not having entered the enlightenment realm, already has a fully formed primordial spirit. What do they call this on the cultivation path? Tao realm ahead. Refining the primordial spirit yielded such a harvest. Then what about the secondary deity? The secondary deity can also be refined this way. For instance, when he refined the secondary deity of the nine-headed snake's lord, his sub-god skill had made rapid progress. Being in this world, should he employ this method as well? After all, this world is different from that one. People with sub-divine skill are not too many, and the heart pavilion which possesses the sub-god skill just happens to be his nemesis. Destroying them, refining their secondary deities, would cause a huge surge in his own sub-god. Lin Ziyasu imagined this grand concept, touching his chin, his eyes shimmering with a mysterious light, questioning himself. Is my method of devouring others, primordial spirits and secondary deities somewhat off track? Never mind, the world is about to end. Why should I worry about this? Didn't a philosopher named Ming Yue once say? The demon is not in the technique, but in the heart. Very well, feeling refreshed, he went asleep. 2 days later, this handsome gentleman would march to Jiangnan, poised to swallow heaven, earth, and gods. Lin Ziyasu set the teacup down and got into bed. The bed was huge, a relic of the feudal era designed for armfuls. Yet whom to embrace? The Saintess Qian Ling had long fled, and Qing Ying had just been released. Forget it, I'll focus on the grand scheme. I am the paragon of virtue, pursuing great achievements without painting fanciful blueprints. I'll just hug my pillow. Just then a gentle knock on the door. Young master. It was Honger's voice, soft and sticky sweet. What could a midnight knock mean? I am warning you from within. While I ponder the dullness of the night, don't provoke me. What is it? Young master, a woman requests to see you. She claims to be an old acquaintance of yours. Oh, invite her in. Lin Ziyasu jumped up. His heart at this moment was beating twice as fast as usual. An old acquaintance, a woman. Who could it be? Chang Yi? Feng Jai? Could the Saintess Qian Ling have returned? Or perhaps someone from the other side? For example, Dawa, Huya, or Blue Demon. Every possibility he thought of excited him. However, when he actually saw this woman, his eyes widened. All his guesses were wrong. It was her. Unexpectedly, it was her. On that day in Kinkyu, as he proposed, just reporting his name, a woman bubbling with spiritual energy ignored the basic courtesies of formal marriage proposals, running up to him with shining eyes and spoke half a sentence. Brother Su, I. She was the Kinkyu 7th princess. Clearly, she was a woman who had set her sights on him. Because afterward, on Fenghua Road, she had even spoken to him, pointing out the array formations. These were the only 2 sentences she ever said to him. Neither was completed. Before she could finish the first sentence, someone dragged her away. Midway through the second, when speaking of arrays, the great elder cut off her transmission. Chapter 691, Chapter 654, 7th Princess Enters the Residence Part 4. She actually came today. If he were still Li Chengyan, he could accept her arrival. After all, Li Chengyan is her already promised fiancé. But now, as a fake Li Chengyan, he has been completely exposed by that Shanling saintess. Yet she still came. Might I ask what's the noble purpose? Honger and Kinger accompanied her, arriving outside Lin Ziyasu's bedroom. You 2 can leave now, said the 7th princess. Yes, madam, Honger and Kinger bowed together. Lin Ziyasu's eyes widened. Madam, in this house, this handsome guy is the family head. There's no elder. The word madam can only mean his wife. You little vixen, playing very wildly, setting the madam tone with the maid even before you've stepped in the door. Are you aware that your husband has already been swapped? The door opened, and the seventh princess stepped in, leaning slightly backward so the door closed behind her. Her gaze lifted, and her eyes were filled with excitement and happiness. The moonlight was bright now, clearly presenting Lin Ziaosu's face to her through the window. There wasn't a trace of astonishment on her face, just happiness. Is it that she hasn't seen clearly? Should I move the lamp on the table under my chin? Lin Ziaosu thought. Brother Su, I've suffered so much trying to find you. The seventh princess leaped forward, pouncing on Lin Ziaosu. Lin Ziaosu intended to evade but realized that doing so would surely topple the oil lamp behind him, so he reached out and steadied her shoulder. The seventh princess stretched out her arms. Her hands seemed so long at this moment, directly embracing his waist. With this embrace, soft jade and warmth filled his arms. It's you. It's me, Brother Su, I'm just little Chi from Kinkyu. When you went up the mountain to propose, I took one look at you and was so happy, so happy. I wanted to tell you I'm willing. Third sister pulled me away, and after you left, I came down the mountain to find you, but third sister caught me again. I disguised a maid to look like me with a heavenly fox bracelet, swapped clothes with her, and escaped. I had only one thought. I want to find you. I want to tell you I'm willing. The seventh princess spoke happily in his arms. How did you know? Li Chengnian was me in disguise. Lin Ziaosu asked the key question. How would I know that? The seventh princess said. I blended in next door, actually wanting to kill you. Oh no, wanting to kill that bastard Li Chengnian. Kill him? Lin Ziaosu was surprised. Yeah, third sister said my fate was already sealed, that I had to marry him, even if I fled to the ancient divine ruins in your ancient sex location. The elders of my clan would surely catch me and deliver me on time to the Li family. There was nothing else I could do. I could only cut the roots and kill him. If he died, I would be free, then I could find my brother Su. Lin Ziaosu lifted his gaze. This window just happened to offer a view of next door. Next door was Prince Dingbei Mansion. His gaze was calm, and through time-space reversal, he saw more than 2 hours ago, 2 women in the attic. One of them was Fu Feng, and the other was the girl in his arms. They spoke for a moment, and by interpreting their lip movements, he deciphered the entire conversation. This was his most amazing detective skill. Under detective skill, any disguise he could easily tear apart. The Kinkyu Fox clan was not an ordinary race. He definitely wouldn't trust easily. But as he deciphered layer by layer with the detective method, everything slowly emerged. What she said turned out to be completely true. When Princess Shensheng appeared, disguised as a maid, she was ecstatic, hoping to use Princess Shensheng's hand to kill him. At that time, he was Li Chengnian. And when his true appearance was revealed, she was even more ecstatic, holding Fu Feng's shoulder and sincerely expressing, shouting Brother Su. This expression, it wasn't fake. While they were talking in the attic, no one could hear them, and they didn't need to speak false words. This little girl was really straightforward. Chapter 692, Chapter 655, Facing the Fox Girl, It's Hard to Resist. Why? Lin Ziaosu gently exhaled. Why do you have to single-mindedly seek me out? Because Brother Su is handsome. The seventh princess hung on his arm, dreamily responding, her body soft and boneless, perhaps exhausted from the encounter. Is that it? Just that? Oh no, there's more. The seventh princess said, Brother Su came to Kinkyu, specifically named me for marriage. That is the contract I agreed, so you cannot go back on it. At that time, actually. The seventh princess gently flipped her hand, covering his mouth, twisting lightly in his embrace. Brother Su, don't say actually. I really do have to say this. Lin Ziaosu gently moved her hand away. Actually, I genuinely quite like you. The seventh princess cried out, clinging to his neck. Naughty Brother Su, you scared me to death, I'm going to bite you. She lightly bit a small piece on his neck. This close contact, this charming demeanor, the unique allure of the Fox clan fully manifested. Lin Ziaosu suddenly felt waves of heat flowing through his body, causing some degree of transformation. Outside the room, near the courtyard gate, Honger and Kinger gazed dazedly at this room. Their cheeks were also flushed red. The night wind blew. Honger exhaled lightly. Madam has indeed come. Yes, Kinger's eyes drifted away. Through the window they couldn't see clearly, but the movements of the two inside were quite bold, holding so tightly. It really was Madam, who else could do such a thing? It's time to inform everyone in the mansion. To prevent anyone from being inconsiderate and disrespecting Madam. Next door, Fufeng stood beneath the window, quietly observing all this. The night was deep, the two courtyards so vast, although neighbors, they were actually separated by several walls, quite far apart, but what cultivation does she possess? She saw clearly. That seventh sister truly, direct. In a brief span, she completed the whole process from unfamiliarity to familiarity, indeed using her own way, interpreting her consistent view on relationships, her view being, as long as you meet someone you fancy, procedures are clouds, etiquette is clouds, others, opinions are clouds, everything is clouds, only one thing matters, getting the result. The room door gently pushed open. The visitor was the seventh prince. Fufeng slowly turned around, displaying a captivating smile. Your Highness drank some wine, don't you want to rest? The seventh prince gently exhaled. I can't sleep, want to talk with you. About what? Fufeng lightly stretched out her hand, smoothing his stray strand of hair. The gesture was absolutely gentle. The seventh prince held her waist, standing by the window, his gaze toward Su Mansion. His cultivation was merely observing heaven. He could not see too far, at least at this moment. He could not possibly see what was happening in Lin Ziasu's bedroom. What do you think about today's events? The seventh prince gently asked. There's no need for your highness to be so troubled. You have no connection with the former Li Chengyan. The one connected with you has always been him. He is not Li Chengyan, which is not a bad thing, rather a good thing. At least you are not burdened by the Zih Li family, nor implicated by the actions of the former Li Chengyan. The seventh prince said, Indeed, if he were Li Chengyan, I would always feel the Zih Li family perhaps has its own schemes, inevitably worrying. He is not Li Chengyan. We can relax more, however, Fufeng. One thing still deeply troubles me. You mean your majesty, Fufeng said. Yes, father is shrewd and farsighted. With such profound plans, I really can't imagine what kind of gaze he casts on me. This was his unease. The whole affair was father's plan. Each prince was on father's chessboard, every move likely seen by father. This feeling brought a slight chill to this prince. Fufeng softly smiled. Even though over the years, indeed your majesty placed you 8 princes on a chessboard, observing coldly from the side. But now, your highness should feel gratified because the final outcome shows your majesty sees your highness's exceptional qualities. He is already viewing you in a new light. Really? The seventh prince was suddenly astonished. Think about it, why would Su Lin remind you at the crucial moment of the heavenly prisoner exchange? Why would he strategize step by step for you? You can also think about the outcome. After your majesty revealed his cards, didn't you become closer to him? The seventh prince's whole body trembled. Su Lin impersonating Li Chengyan was father's scheming. Then every move of Su Lin thereafter must be father's arrangement. Especially his first step of associating with himself, reminding him not to make mistakes at the key moment of the heavenly prisoner exchange. This is protection. Father is protecting him. Father has seen his uniqueness. Father starts to favor him. This prince who struggled for over 10 years suddenly realized father has been concerned about him all along. All the grievances and knots in his heart instantaneously dissolved. Fufeng's gaze cast over. Various signs indicate that this Mr. Su is your highness's benefactor. Your servant suggests that your highness should share the same heart and journey with him. There are countless benefits without any harm. Because he himself is father's eyes and ears, associating with him can better please father, the seventh prince said. At this stage indeed so, but if you look forward to the future, it might not necessarily be. Fufeng said, I observe this person has grand ambitions. His steps may not be locked in the great wilderness. Steps not in the great wilderness. The seventh prince gently sighed. You may not believe what I hope for is exactly this. I truly wish to associate with him, not swayed by the current affairs, but simply mutual appreciation and recognition. Chapter 693. Chapter 655. Facing the fox girl, it's hard to resist /2. I think he probably wishes for the same thing. Fufeng smiled softly. The seventh prince gently held her shoulders. You suggest that I draw closer to him, but what about you? How should Kinkyu deal with him? Fufeng's body stiffened slightly, her gaze slowly turning to the seventh prince. The seventh prince smiled as he looked at her. Fufeng slowly let her smile show, Your Highness knows. That day under Jiantai, when I was gravely injured and close to death, you treated me with the Tianhu needle, perhaps assuming I was unconscious and unaware, but my mind was clear. That's when I realized you were the seven-tailed spirit fox of Kinkyu. Fufeng said, I did not intend to conceal it from your highness. I simply didn't want to leave a stain on you. You're wrong. In my heart, there is no such prejudice against the demon clan or others. Yes, I can feel that your highness holds no prejudice in your heart. But your highness, just because you harbor no prejudice doesn't mean the world shares the same view. If one day you ascend to the throne, having taken a member of the demon clan as a concubine will be a stain you can never wash away. The seventh prince laughed. You're overly concerned. I have absolutely no ambition for the throne. In the past you might not have, but what about today? Today is not the past. If the seven sons compete for the throne, your highness's odds are not small. The smile on the seventh prince's face slowly faded. Fu Feng, I solemnly tell you one thing, and I want you to remember it well and remind me of it at all times. This statement had no your prince, only I. It is precisely such words that indicate the importance and sincerity of the statement. When they first met, he had not yet been titled a prince, and there was no concept of royalty between them. Speak and I will listen, Fu Feng said. The seven sons vying for the throne is sheer folly. My father is still here and his health is robust. What is the point of succession? I Hong Yun will never compete for the throne. When he said this, he was serious. One could even say he was solemn. Because he was one of the few truly in the know, aware of the cause and effect mistake. He knew the former crown prince, Hong Ding, used the cause and effect mistake to plot against his father. He also knew that his father used the cause and effect mistake to counter the crown prince. The crown prince went to the heavenly prison, and the next day, in fear of punishment, he committed suicide. Others might be skeptical, but he knew the true story. He knew it was his father's doing. His father granted the death of his third prince brother, removing the faction's backbone to prevent the rebel faction from resurging. There was also a cold reason behind it. It was the reverse plundering of the cause and effect mistake. By granting the death of his third prince brother, his father had already seized the younger vital energy of his brother. He could even feel the vitality emanating from his father. His father still had many years ahead, and he was by no means an emperor in decline. At this time, whoever competed for the throne would meet their end. He, Hong Yun, was not to make such a foolish mistake. Fu Feng was unaware of this, but she was not someone driven by power. She listened to herself, nodding lightly. As your highness said, I understand. I will never encourage your highness to do something you don't want to do. All right, let's return to where this began. With Li Chengyan becoming Su Lin, what will Kinkyu do? Fu Feng exhaled softly. Your highness's question is also what I have been pondering. Perhaps I should return to Kinkyu and see how the elders choose. The seventh prince looked at her quietly. You haven't returned to Kinkyu in 100 years. Yes, but this time I must go back. Will you persuade them to accept Su Lin? From Kinkyu's standpoint, accepting Su Lin should pose no obstacles, nor should there be any, but if some elders have been infiltrated by the Heart Pavilion, and they're handling things from that perspective, they will never accept Su Lin. Fu Feng said, I must return to the clan and bring this issue to the forefront. I need to see who exactly opposes Su Lin so that Kinkyu can begin a thorough purge. The seventh prince understood. Kinkyu was an ancient great clan. Marriages among the descendants were based on clan interests. Marrying Li Chengyan was for the clan's benefit, and now Li Chengyan was dead. With Su Lin emerging coincidentally, carrying on the wrong decision by marrying Su Lin instead was also a viable solution. So were there obstacles to marrying Su Lin? Theoretically, there shouldn't be any. Why not? Because Su Lin is deeply trusted by His Majesty, holding the fourth rank. If you are truly devoted to Kinkyu's well-being, you would certainly choose this person. However, if you are nothing more than a Heart Pavilion lackey, you would never choose Su Lin. Why? Because Su Lin is an archenemy of the Heart Pavilion. The Heart Pavilion people don't want Su Lin, this archenemy, to have an ancient clan like Kinkyu as his backer. Fu Feng would return to Kinkyu, observe quietly, and discern who is an enemy and who is a clansman. Then commence the Great Purge. Kinkyu will strive towards purity. At that time, Kinkyu will be a support for Su Lin, as well as support for the seventh prince. Because both of them are involved with a Kinkyu fox girl, they are considered brother-in-law in worldly terms. The news of Lin Xiaosu's magnificent transformation did not seem to cause much of a stir in Beijing. But beyond Beijing, it created a tempest. The place most affected was, in two locations, first being the Heart Pavilion. Hezhu. In Jiangnan, the Heart Pavilion master, Lei Zhentian, upon hearing the news from a secret channel, turned pale, and the two mental path elders opposite him, the 8th elder and the 13th elders, also turned grave. They had just employed Miao Shu to send Hong Shanling to the chessboard in Desert City. Chapter 694, Chapter 655, Facing the Fox Girl, Hard to Resist /3. This Miao Shu truly excels both in offense and defense. No matter how great a disturbance it causes, it benefits the mental path. Because of Hong Shanling's double identity. On one hand, she is the imperial princess of the great wilderness dynasty, sharing the same mother as the crown prince, fitting the identity required to kill this traitor. On the other hand, she is also the Tiandu saintess. Even if it stirs the dynasty's displeasure, at most, the storm can only reach below the heavenly capital's sky dam, not harming the heart pavilion in the slightest. Hong Shanling fell spectacularly into the trap. Moreover, in a face-off, she accidentally gained a surprise. Using the heavenly capital immortal mirror technique, she discovered that Li Chengyan wasn't actually Li Chengyan but a disguise. According to common logic, the issue could have been wrapped up, with the audacious thief torn limb from limb, with his entire clan being executed. However, the start was unexpected, and the end even more so. This thief was actually arranged by Your Majesty. As a result, the Heart Pavilion's idea to eliminate Li Chengyan through Hong Shanling collapsed, leading to Hong Shanling being scolded by Your Majesty. Henceforth, it wouldn't be so easy to stir up a commotion in the great wilderness dynasty. Moreover, Hong Shanling is straightforward and hot-headed, having been inexplicably tricked, being scolded thoroughly. How could there be any justification for not venting her anger? Their insider in Tiandu, painstakingly embedded, might be at risk of exposure. What the hell is all this? 8th Elder, this thief will head to Jiangnan in 2 days, and this location is also in Jiangnan. Shouldn't we take this opportunity to eradicate future trouble? Lei Zhentian slowly spoke. If it can be eradicated, it certainly should be, but Master Lei must understand 2 things. First, this thief's entourage includes soldiers on this trip. Second, Your Majesty currently has his eyes on the 7 heart pavilions within the great wilderness. Any slight exposure could lead him to an absolute eradication. Lei Zhentian nodded. Rest assured, 8th Elder, I am not a reckless person. Without absolute assurance, I would never provoke that madman in the palace at this time. Yes, madman is the honorific the Heart Pavilion's high ranks use for Your Majesty. It also reflects the Heart Pavilion's misjudgment of Your Majesty. The Heart Pavilion plans its strategy for the world, for the court, permeating every aspect. It's not just you, great wilderness. Look at other dynasties. Who else would directly eradicate the pavilion at the drop of a hat? You must have gone mad. Against a madman, normal people had better not provoke him, for he doesn't play by the rules. This is the shock of the Huzhu Heart Pavilion. If the shock level here is 7, the shock level of the Zih Li family is 9 or even 10. The eldest of the Li family strode towards the southern courtyard where the second was, pushed the door open, and headed straight for the main hall. The second of the Li family stood up. Elder brother, coming so late, what brings you here? The eldest of the Li family said with a half-smile. Second brother, I've come here with 2 matters, 1 good news and 1 bad news. Which does the second brother wish to hear first? What's the good news? The second's heart skipped a beat. The good news is regarding whether Cheng Nian is connected or separate. You and I can finally reach an agreement. The second was overjoyed. Big brother finally came to his senses. That's great. Wait, you said there's also bad news. The bad news is that the Li family official in Beijing is actually an imposter. He doesn't bear the last name Li, but Su. He has never been your son. The second suddenly jumped up. My son, where is my son Cheng Nian? Half a month ago, your Cheng Nian, my good nephew, was hacked to death and perished in Zhuozhai Lake. The eldest sighed deeply. Second brother, now, we finally don't have to argue. A roar of anger rose from the southern courtyard, and the second master of the Li family roared furiously to the skies. Indeed, from this moment, the entire Li family had no entanglement. Whether to have an official Li Chengyan or a Li Chengyan who does not bring trouble to the family was meaningless. The focal point of this dispute, Li Chengyan, was gone long ago. What need is there for anything else? It wasn't him who betrayed the crown prince. It wasn't him who served as an official in Beijing. The one who caused their endless entanglement, the one who bore the name Li Chengyan, bringing both honor and fear to the Li family, was never Li Chengyan. He was Su Lin, who killed the direct disciple of the ancient sect Li Chengnian. Let's set aside the perspectives of Huzhu and Zihi for now, and cut the scene back to the Su mansion. Night deepened. Lin Ziasu at this moment experienced a kind of torment rarely faced in life. What is this torment called? Women's torment. Women of the Kinkyu Fox clan truly are not to be touched. As soon as touched, one's entire body feels like hot blood is rushing horizontally, simply itching to immediately lay her down and release everything. This had nothing to do with this big bed. This had nothing to do with the long night. It even had little to do with Lin Ziasu's nature. It was purely because of her. The seventh princess's figure was unparalleled in its softness. Holding her was unparalleled in comfort. Her breath, her squirming in the embrace, every inch, every move heightened one's interest, getting more and more intense. What was even more dire was, she dared to whisper in Lin Ziasu's ear, "Brother Su." "Seventh princess, it's late, you should sleep next door." Lin Ziasu inhaled deeply. "No, I want to sleep with my brother Su." Brother Su is scared. Scared of what? Brother Su is scared of turning into a beast. The seventh princess giggled. "Then you turn, I like it even if you turn into a beast." "Oh my, there must be some reasoning." Lin Ziasu said, "Seventh princess, your Kinkyu is also an ancient great clan, you shouldn't act so casually." "I'm not being casual really," the seventh princess earnestly told him. "I've never been with a man before, I'm very clean, brother Su, look, this is my Fox clan's chastity mark." Chapter 695. Chapter 655. Facing the fox girl, it's hard to resist /4. She gently raised her hand, and the light silk on her arm slid down, revealing a flawlessly perfect arm. On the arm there was a crimson mark, shaped like a fox's tail. "This enchantress. I'm at my limit, and you're still being so provocative." Suddenly, Lin Ziasu felt his heart stir. This chastity mark, shaped like a fox tail, was completely different from the chastity marks of ordinary women. He had seen such a mark in the Heart Pavilion ancient books, called the Tianhu Palace Sand. The Tianhu Palace Sand was not something a responsible mother dotingly marked. It was innately present from birth. This palace sand was no different from traditional chastity marks, disappearing once virginity was lost. However, its peculiarity was extremely legendary. "Seventh princess, is your palace sand the Tianhu Palace Sand?" Lin Ziasu gently grasped her jade-like arm. "Yes, brother Su, you know about the Tianhu Palace Sand too, my mother." "Well, not my mother, my grandmother told me that this palace sand is particularly magical. It's not just a palace sand but also a secret realm within the body. As long as my future husband breaks my virginity, he can enter this realm." The seventh princess was blushing deeply, twisting in his embrace. "Brother Su, do you want to explore this realm?" Lin Ziasu was greatly shocked. "It truly is. Legend has it that the Tianhu clan is extremely mystical. Foxes with up to 5 tails are called azure foxes. Those with 5 to 7 tails are called spiritual foxes. 8 tails earth fox. 9 tails heavenly fox. Once becoming a 9-tailed heavenly fox, it represents the strongest physique of the Tianhu clan, the Tianhu divine body. The Tianhu divine body is in harmony with the earth Tao, possessing astonishing insight, advancing rapidly in cultivation, and destined for monumental achievements in the future. The secret to evolving into a heavenly fox lies in a special profound gate within the unique bloodline, the Tianhu Palace Sand. The Tianhu Palace Sand is not possessed by all in the Fox clan. More precisely, it might be born only from the most authentic bloodlines of the Tianhu clan. Note, even among the most authentic bloodlines, it's only a possibility. The Tianhu Palace Sand begins with birth and ends with consummation. What does that mean? Once virginity is broken, the infinitely wondrous human body secret realm of the Tianhu Palace Sand closes accordingly. Never again can it allow the host's bloodline to purify and evolve. In correlation, it provides great benefits to the person who breaks her. As for the specific benefits, according to ancient texts, they vary from person to person. A myriad of thoughts raced through Lin Ziasu's mind as he held the twisting little enchantress in his arms. "Seventh princess, your Tianhu Palace Sand will lead to the evolution of your bloodline, right?" "Yes, I originally only had 1 tail, now I have 5 tails. Brother Su, feel it." "Oh my heavens, is this really happening?" Lin Ziasu firmly refused to touch. "If the palace sand is broken, you can no longer evolve." Who cares? It's not like I could evolve into 9 tails anyway. There's little difference between 5 tails and 7 or 8 tails, the 7th princess said. Why wouldn't you be able to? Legendary predecessor of mine, the one who brought you into the painting, her name is Jai. She was originally the most remarkable legend in Kinkyu over 1,000 years. She also had the Tianhu Palace sand, and even after cultivating for 3,000 years, she couldn't evolve into 9 tails. What am I supposed to be? I don't dream of that. I can't wait 3,000 years either. The 7th princess hooked her arms around his neck. Brother Su, I like you. Really, really like you. The night tonight is so serene. The Liaxiang River tonight is so quiet. She tonight is so fragrant. The moon tonight is so temptingly wrong. Yet Lin Zaiasu still took a deep breath, forcefully suppressing his restless heart. 7th princess, I also like you. Really? The 7th princess was so happy, she almost floated away. Yes, really. But we can't be so impulsive. I can't derive my pleasure from cutting off the path of someone I love. This concerns the evolution of your bloodline and your thousands of years to come. The 7th princess almost melted. Brother Su, how can you be so good? I'm so happy. Then you go next door first. Carry me over. I'm weakened by your teasing. I can't walk. Chapter 696, Chapter 656, Go to Jiangnan. Lin Zaiasu could only hold her over, place her on the bed, and quickly withdrew. Back in his room, Lin Zaiasu took a long time to calm his body's abnormal state, lay on the bed, and reflected deeply. In that world, almost everyone held the consensus that Lin, this fellow, was truly not particular about women. In his life, he was probably particular only twice, once with little Yi and once with the 7th princess. Being particular about little Yi was a hurdle in his heart. This handsome guy has real people to play with, why bother with machines? And being particular about the 7th princess was just because the karma was too significant. He knew well how an ancient great clan was obsessive about a super talent. In the records of the Heart Pavilion, there were many sect conflicts caused by super talents. If a sect suddenly produced a super talent with tendencies to lead the sect to great heights, the neighboring sects, adhering to the principle of "we're all crabs in the pot, lying down quietly, why should you climb out?" would strike down the super talent, leading to a bloody conflict between two sects. In the cultivation path where the strong were revered, such incidents were far too common. A disciple carrying the Tianhu Palace sand was potentially a super talent in Kinkyu, because only such disciples could possibly evolve into the legendary 9-tailed heavenly fox. Whether or not it happened was one thing, but if you cut it off, breaking someone's path was another. She could indeed bring extreme joy to men, but to break her path for this joy, how could the Kinkyu clan leader and the entire Elder Council let you off easily? Especially now, as his relationship with Kinkyu was very delicate, such a variable should be avoided if at all possible. Moreover, there's her. The little girl, madly in love, might do anything, but her path would truly be cut off because of it. He's someone who's had his path cut off and knows what it's like to have the cultivation road broken. However, there was one thing he couldn't figure out for the life of him. The 7th princess carried the Tianhu Palace sand and was a talented disciple, so why would Kinkyu still allow her to marry? Although it was a very slim chance for her to evolve from her current 5 tails to the legendary 9 tails, there was still hope. Why would they place such a big bet, really just to please a small heart pavilion, to solely favor Li Chengyan? What virtue or capability did Li Chengyan possess? He was just a family descendant. His Zih Li family was not impressive, and his personal abilities were not outstanding either. In short, neither Li Chengyan nor the Li family were truly worth such an investment. Could it be that there's more behind this marriage alliance? Somebody under the guise of Li Chengyan's name strongly pushing for this marriage, with Li Chengyan merely being the groom on the surface, but the real groom was someone else. He couldn't find answers to these questions within Li Chengyan's memory. Evidently, if there were indeed some second conspiracy, even Li Chengyan was kept in the dark. With such complex thoughts, Lin Zaiasu drifted into slumber. The next morning, he awoke from his dreams, inhaled the cool morning breeze, and savored the fragrance emanating from next door, finally feeling a sense of living. The butler hurried over and happened to run into the 7th princess, pushing open her door. The butler bowed deeply, "Madam." The 7th princess's face flushed, even her pointed ear lobes turned red, and she quickly jumped back inside. Yes, jumped. The butler came before Lin Zaiasu. "Family head, a few officials from the Ministry of Justice have arrived. They say, under your majesty's orders and master Song's instructions, they have brought files of accumulated cases from the Jiangnan Ministry of Justice. Good, I'll head over right away. In the meeting room, the Vice Minister of Justice personally came with a large stack of files. Upon seeing Lin Ziasu, the Vice Minister greeted first, Mr. Su. From this salutation alone, it's evident that Lin Ziasu's status is now openly recognized in the court. Otherwise, the salutation wouldn't be Mr. Su, but Mr. Li. Sir, you've overpraised me. Lin Ziasu performed a subordinate salute. I didn't expect the Vice Minister to come personally. The Vice Minister, an official of the 3rd rank, and Lin Ziasu of the 4th rank. It's rare for a superior to personally deliver materials. The Vice Minister smiled slightly. Mr. Su, no need to be formal. You are highly valued by your majesty, and after this journey to Jiangnan, your rank may very well match mine, so I'm just making an early connection of equal rank. Sir, you flatter me. Please have a seat. Hanger entered and served tea before retreating with a bow. The Vice Minister got straight to the point. These files will be handed over to you. A chief scribe beside him took out a sheet of paper, densely written with the transfer archives, requiring Lin Ziasu's signature to complete the transfer. But Lin Ziasu did not take the paper or pen. Instead, he smiled. No need. I'll simply read through it. Please wait a moment, gentlemen. Picking up the files, he flipped through them page by page, rendering the Vice Minister's smile stiff. The first volume was over, more than 30 pages in just 10 breaths. The second volume the same. The tea in his hand had not yet cooled, and Lin Ziasu had already gone through over 50 volumes. After 3/4 of an hour, he had gone through half. After 3/4 of an hour, he closed the last page. Totaling 517 files, he read them all. Sir, I've finished reading. You may take the files back, Lin Ziasu said. Mr. Su, you have a photographic memory. I wouldn't dare claim such. I'm just naturally rather lazy and not accustomed to carrying so many materials. No wonder Mr. Su earned such favor from your majesty. Such a young genius is no ordinary person, truly admirable. The Vice Minister bowed slightly. I take my leave.